Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Live. I am Zach, of course, and I'm here with the better-looking Steven. Just kidding. Steven's older brother, Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan. Welcome.
I'm Johnny. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing well. I'm doing all right. Had a great weekend. I played a lot of tabletop games.
Really?
Yeah, a lot.
I immediately am just going straight off.
That's fine.
We're supposed to. When is it the time where it's personal? When do I get?
Well, we can build a personal time. So actually, this is probably worth noting is that this first section here, and this is actually on the list, so it counts. This first section of these Monday Lives that you guys have been seeing, starting at the Zadok and now here, is like not necessarily season one, but I'm going to call it season one. We're about to take off our big vacations. A lot of us take a lot of vacation in the deep winter, as Stephen would call it, and I like that.
And there's a couple Mondays in a row. It's like Christmas and New Year's, literally the day.
So we're scattering. But during that time, I'll be thinking about and implementing new sections of the stream. Some stuff we're thinking about is personal. Hey, how are you? That worked out well back when we were doing
all the live streams.
All the live streams. And that also maybe putting a timer on the main topic.
Yeah.
As much as I like to, you guys continue to go.
We can talk forever.
Yes. And also putting in a time to go over the comments from the topic from the week before.
That's cool.
And
because it's hard to catch all the
There's amazing comments.
There's
many.
And
then there's also people that can't watch it live and they have amazing comments. So
yeah, very
that's
cool.
the idea.
So here's the rundown for the day real quick.
Well, okay, you do that.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Star Wars Unlimited. We've been getting a lot of questions about this for months. Are we going to have a subscription? Yes. Are we going to support the game? Are we going to regularly feature the game on our content? So that's the big topic, which that is related to a lot of other topics in the industry. So we'll come back to that.
Okay.
But then we'll be covering some news items.
That's right.
Which includes Covenant news all the way to the various games. And then let me make sure I'm
right.
right.
Miscellaneous section in there. I don't know if you saw that one.
That's the personal time. There it is. And then the second half of the stream, I think, is I don't think it's going to be Jonathan and I are going to play some alphaclash. Over the weekend, I built some decks using two of the new contenders, Death, Chaosbringer, and War Legion Commander. So two of the Harbingers.
Nice.
And have you played alphaclash? Mm-mm. So I'm going to be teaching Jonathan how to play alphaclash.
So yeah, it's going to be very interesting because I, of course, edited the alphaclash how to play video. So I have been
osmosisly,
taught, but we'll see how much that translates.
Yeah.
And actually, this kind of to kind of force a little bit of a segue, but Oxidor, I only ever read this name, so I don't know how.
Oh, the chat's right there.
Yeah. He says, which game did I play? Games did I play? I played Earthborne on Thursday.
Okay.
It was fantastic. We had a great time. It was really great.
You and Steven? You and
Bryce and I.
Oh,
Bryce and
nice.
The ops guys. He came over and we played until 1 a.m.
What day did you make it to?
Just one.
What?
Yeah.
That's a crazy long day.
Yeah, we made it. We exhausted. We fell over from exhaustion at Mount Nim trying to do a mission. It was fantastic. We had a great time. And then the next night, I had two guys over to teach sorcery. One who kind of knew how to do it, one who didn't know anything, and it was amazed at how quickly he picked it up. So he's been playing chess, and he watched us play our first game. He has played maybe one game of Magic, and that's like it.
Yeah.
But he picked it up. Not only did he pick it up, the morning after, he texted me, and he was like, hey, so when can we play some more sorcery? So he came over again last night. He's coming over again tonight. And we're playing through all of the pre-con decks.
Yeah.
And he's loving
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Well,
just a lovely time.
You had a full tabletop weekend, and now you get to play on Monday Live?
Yeah, well, it's really funny because, so my kid goes to bed at 9, but I am of the, night owl variety. It's genetic, hard-coded. I can't defeat it. So it's funny, whenever Bryce came over, he had, a big monster so he could, keep up with me. And then these two guys were both drinking, caffeinated tea the whole time, and I was like, oh, maybe it is my schedule is strange. Everyone's showing up all this caffeine just so they can stay up till I just normally fall asleep. But it was great.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's been really, really good.
You want to dive into the topic du jour?
Yes. So I think importantly to set this up before you set it up is that this question has been asked a lot on our Discord. Mm-hmm. And we always say we're going to talk about it on the Monday live stream. And next Monday live stream is just a holiday celebration. We got Crokinole, we got Nightmare Before Christmas.
Absolute classics, yeah.
So there's not time to talk about that then, there won't be any more of these until next year at some point. And so, unfortunately, you have me here who knows very little about the ins and outs and the what have you. So I'll be playing the part of the audience and trying to just listen and reciprocate and do all that kind of stuff.
I actually think that might be really helpful. I mean, you've been at Covenant for a very long time.
Yeah.
That means you've been in the industry for a very long time.
Yeah.
So you're not completely. It's easy to get so siloed into your perspectives and the people you're with and working with all the time. That you forget what it's like to be new. And kind of related to alphaclash, that was one of the things. I remember we did 2 streams back to back recently. One was Bright Lights, Open Packs, Build a Deck Play. The week after we had played alphaclash. And one of my favorite things about alphaclash, and I think it'll play out when we're playing a little bit, is it is so much, simpler is the wrong word. It's not just simpler. Like sorcery is also simpler in some ways. But it's so much easier to learn, and you don't really realize how much is going on with like flesh and blood until you step away and do something else. So in this case, I do think it would be fun to have Steven on, but also a little bit of a greener perspective or a less, because Steven and I talk about these things like on stream and off stream constantly, whereas we're engaging a lot less than me and Steven do. So all that said, I'm also, as always, like to hear what people think about the same. Like that's part of the beauty of being live. You get these live inputs. So quick story time, just in terms of Star Wars Unlimited. So if you're unaware, I mean, I've played as a player, I've played pretty much every Star Wars card game you can play.
Yeah.
In fact, have historically been such a card games and Star Wars. Or if you could name 2 things Zach is into, that's probably the 2 biggest things.
Yeah.
Like if you
it's that way. Like where on Christmas you just know you're going to get something from Star Wars just because like
unreal.
People are like it's Zach. I just got to get Zach Star Wars.
Yep. I mean it's just my family does that too. Even if you're just kind of into something, and it's like I remember my grandma, one of the sweetest ladies ever. Found out my oldest brother, at some point, she made like chocolate chip cake. And he was like, oh, that's really good. In her mind, he said, that's my favorite cake ever. Then he moved away out of pretty far away. And every time he would visit, she would have a fresh and he never had the heart to tell her yeah, I like it, but this is not a thing. So yeah, once they latch onto something, but I also as a person get very into things. I got into tabletop games, and I spent the rest of my life doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I got into Star Wars, and it's all about it.
Okay.
That kind of a thing.
So those can be forgiven for this.
Those are 2 of the things, right?
Okay.
So also, in terms of competitive Fantasy Flight card games, from about the time we found out about FFG in 2011 until now, as a person, as a player, I've played pretty much all of them. From Game of Thrones LCG was the first competitive FFG game we played, to Netrunner, Star Wars LCG, to Star Wars Destiny, Conquest, even Imperial Assault, Star Wars X-Wing, the whole catalog, right?
You missed out on Call of Cthulhu, but came back around, I think, during the pandemic.
Yeah, I have played it. But, even the cooperatives, right? So if you mix these elements together, Star Wars, card game, FFG product, at least personally, there's genuine interest.
Yeah.
On the surface. Now, post episode 9, a little less on Star Wars. It's just been, the flame has been pushed down a little bit.
I think on top of that, we got Jeremy Zwern, who is, we have great respect for seeing him win everything since we started filming games.
And he handled the development for the second 2/3 or second half of Star Wars Destiny and did a bang up job. Love Jeremy. Also played Star Wars LCG with Tyler, who's one of the main people involved in this project. And he's a great person. So, we effectively they announced the game. It's interesting. Would like to try that. Plan to try it at Gen Con. Tried it at Gen Con. Game is good. It's an enjoyable game. I remember before that, Steven and I had a stream where we were talking about what we want to see. Before we knew anything, what do we want? And we were talking about the arenas from the Star Wars TCG. And we were talking about actually having a character representing from Star Wars Destiny as elements we really liked. And they somehow did it all. There's arenas, there's commanders, there's you have a base, which is cool. The resource mechanic for building gameplay. But honestly, with the designers involved and the studio involved, it used to be early on in our history, part of the equation was filtering out games that weren't very good. right? Honestly, that was a lot of conversations back in 2013, 14. That's why FFG, when they were putting all these games out in that time zone was so appealing to us because they were just consistently releasing, and from a game design standpoint, bangers.
Yeah. I was going to say bangers. I'm glad you said
as the kids would call it. Yeah. Speaking of, I won't go into that. Stay on topic. A timer really forces you. I'm trying to be cognizant of how long we've been on this. Anyway, so yeah, there's a default interest. FFG over the past couple of years has been moving away from competitive heads-up games. There's, all the miniatures games went over to Atomic Mass. They shut down. They sold off Keyforge to Ghost Galaxy Games. L5R came to an end, and Game of Thrones 2.0 came to an end, and they're just kind of winding down. So it was a little. So I thought they were just kind of becoming the cooperative card game. Right,
that's just what they were going to do. Put out the big boxes, maybe with Marvel Champions. You got your other thing contractually or whatever they have to do for that.
So I was surprised, but wanted to check it out and stuff. And so I think one of the, it's in terms of whether or not we're going to be actively involved with it. The answer, to cut to the chase, is no. But the reason for that is actually
not because it's not a good game.
So boring. Actually, it's not boring to me.
Look, here's the thing. So sometimes I see in knowing that that's our answer. Sometimes I see in our Discord people are posting about Star Wars Unlimited, and man, it looks cool. And everything they're saying about it looks cool. All the game is cool, and I'm actually kind of sad I don't get to at least vicariously watch you guys play it, which is what happens with most games. But there's a boring reason why that's not the case.
Yeah. Which we'll come back to. You might get a vicarious. We'll see. But the boring reason is that, for a very long time, and this started back in, I guess, 2013 with Netrunner and X-Wing. We started having to deal with a term called allocation. And we talked ad nauseum about allocation. And really over the past, that's a decade ago, right? So we talk about that topic a lot. And the short version of what that is, if you're unfamiliar, publisher makes a game. Typically, publisher sells game to distribution. Distribution sells games to retailers. Retailers sell games to players. Right. And the world goes around.
The 3 tiers.
Yeah. And I could talk all day about this, but ultimately, it's very hard. And I'm more empathetic now towards publishers, I think, and distributors and retailers than I've ever been. Because when you're just dealing with the problem, like back in 2013 with Netrunner, it's tell me what I have to do, when I have to order, what commitments I have to do, how much money I have to pay, to just know how much product I'm going to get. Because we're offering something like a Netrunner subscription. Now, that was the first time it was a problem.
Right.
Because before that, ultimately, our lack of success or lack of subscribers, right, meant that allocation wasn't even a thing. Right,
or you didn't have enough to matter.
Yeah, when we launched Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings subscriptions, both the demand for the game and the consistency of the releases at the point in their history was such that we just never even, it wasn't a problem.
Yeah. Well, and it's a LCG model is less prone to that potentially. Yes. Because you're not, the same person's not buying multiple boxes to complete it.
One player can buy a lot of a single, sorcery. Yeah. They can buy so many boxes, and you don't know how many. But Netrunner came out, and it was super popular. Same with X-Wing, super popular. So that was the first time we previously submit numbers to distribution. A week before release, they're like, hey, we're going to send this much to you. You good? You're like, yep. They send it to you. You ship the product to customers. You have the rest to have an inventory. You're off to the races. But with Netrunner, it became so – and X-Wing was actually worse. We just didn't have a subscription for X-Wing, so it was less of a problem.
I see.
With Netrunner, we had a subscription, and there would be products where, the previous release, we would get X. For easy math, let's say 500 copies of this thing. And then the next release, they're like, oh, you only get 200 this time. And early days of subscriptions, it was automatically charging people every month.
Oh, that's right.
If there was a release or not, or if we got allocated or not.
Oh, man, I forgot about that.
So then we would have to manually go refund 300 people and send an email that says, hey, sorry, we didn't get enough of this. So as time went on, we kept trying to find ways to avoid that problem. And one way we do that is we work directly with publishers. Right. At this point, we work directly with every publisher that we support. And one of the fundamental things is we don't need infinite supply. We don't need whatever. It's just we need to know how much we're getting. Right. And we need to know what you need from us to make that happen.
Yeah. And we're willing to jump through, I think, a substantial amount of hoops.
Yeah. Now, this is not how the system works.
That's right.
The way
the system works is way crazy.
Yeah. Which you see playing out with something like Disney Lorcana recently, which is, and again, I started going down the lane of empathy for publishers because physically printing products, typically in China, you have to make that choice 6 months before it comes out. The first couple of releases is really tough to accurately print because you're making, like, Unlimited is coming out in March. They probably had to make decisions in like August or September. Oh, wow. Which is before the marketing has really started, before the releases happen, before they know how many retailers are going to buy it, before they know how many players. Very uncertain. And worse yet, in a collectible game, overprinting and underprinting both create problems at like huge scales. Yeah. So if you underprint, we've seen this. Right. And we're seeing this right now with Disney Lorcana, which is there's not enough on the market. So price of boxes goes $300, $400, $500 when it's supposed to be $150 MSRP. And once retailers and players figure out there's not enough product, everyone is overbuying. Everyone's hoarding. Everyone's trying to sell online, right? Not everyone, but a lot of people.
There's one thing. Sometimes people ask me what I do at parties or gatherings, and I hate that question. But I've actually started to tell them about the distribution stuff that we do and the subscription stuff and the distribution models and all the stuff that's going on and like just how broken that is. The thing that really gets me is that in the event of a game overselling, that next set is so crazy because not only are the numbers that they're getting like way overinflated, the standard operating procedure for most retailers is to give every distributor to listen to them the same amount, the same number, hoping that in aggregate, they will get the first number they asked for.
And a good example of this was the fourth set of Flesh and Blood. So the third set came out, and right around that time, the first two sets went out of stock, and they announced they were going to be out of print and not print them again. And the third set sold out in like a week. And then pandemonium set in. It was late 2020, TCG pandemonium was happening. Even for old dead games, I mean, it was just like crazy. But what we saw was boxes of Monarch were selling MSRP 100. We're selling for $500 pre-sale before it even came out. And it's partly what happened. We eventually learned the print run numbers and we saw that kind of stuff. But as a retailer, if you got 30 boxes of set 3 and they all sold out in a week, and then you see boxes pre-selling for $500, you're going to be telling your distributors, let's say you have 4 distributors, you know there's not going to be enough product. Even with Lorcana, it's probably happening. And so, as you were saying, as a retailer, I might tell each of them I want 500 boxes because I know allocation is going to happen.
Allocation usually happens in percentages.
Yeah. So, like, if you have 50,000 boxes that are trying to be ordered and you only get 20,000, you'll give everyone 40%. And each distributor is different, and sometimes they favor bigger accounts or whatever hoops they want to jump through. But you're going to only get a percentage of what you're ordering, and most of the time, as a retailer, you actually aren't even technically committed to that product. Oh, yeah, that's right. Until the week it happens. Now, you can only leave a distributor holding the bag so many times before they stop serving you. Right. So you play that game how you want. But when a retailer tells 4 different distributors they want 500 boxes or 100 or whatever it is, suddenly 4 distributors are telling a publisher a number. And the problem is that there's no way for a publisher or a distributor to know what's the actual number. How many do you actually want? Yeah. Even worse is that retailers are all just saying a number. Yeah. Like how do they know how many boxes
they
players
just want in their store?
Yeah. And this is sight unseen product. You don't know how good the set's going to be or how many people are going to want it or anything. So all that to say, it's very difficult to predict how much to print. In the end, with Star Wars Unlimited, just not able to understand how much we would be capable of getting it or selling under no circumstances. Yeah.
So any circumstance that we'll jump through this hoop and this hoop and this hoop. They're like, we just can't, can't do it.
It's like, how far out do you need us to commit to an order? How do you need us to pre-purchase, et cetera? Even just tell us what a number is, and we can decide whether it's worth our time or not. But if we can't guarantee supply or have an understanding of how much supply we have, we can't offer a subscription. And for us, it even just practically, mechanically as a business, if we can't fundamentally do what we do as a business, it makes it impossible for us to do all the other stuff we do, including like creating content. That's not to say we won't have unlimited on some amount of content or play it. We play all kinds of things on the stream.
Yeah, that's true.
All the time. But in like an official capacity, in terms of offering a subscription and everything that comes along with it, no no plans to support Star Wars Unlimited, and that's kind of the answer.
Yeah.
So I think the game's fun. I'm curious. It's kind of unfortunate because like they're fixing, I think, a lot of the things that they did learn from in Star Wars Destiny, even just draft from the ground up and stuff. And I'm honestly, here's my prediction. I think the game's fun. I think it will do well, but I think it will look a lot like Lorcana looks right now, which is I don't think there's a way for them to accurately print the right amount. And so either they'll way overprint or way underprint. If they way overprint or they way underprint, we'll see the Lorcana situation happen, which I think is just the inclination to happen because I think they can't print correctly, and once people realize they haven't printed correctly, the same behaviors are going to happen. Right. So unless they're doing something different, I would expect boxes to be multiples of MSRP, retailers and players to be hoarding, and scalpers to be doing their thing, and we will see how that goes. Yeah. And we saw this with Star Wars Destiny. We saw this with Fab. This is just a routine thing that happens to expandable card games because it's so tough. And we try to create a pocket of that universe where players can dodge that uncertainty.
Get their reliability.
So this is the first, as far as I can remember, the first like competitive card game from FG we have not
that we passed on.
Supported officially since 2011 or whatever, which is like simultaneously sad and also in like an objective way can kind of view how it goes. You know, like even with
that's true.
The way I feel about Lorcana right now, I expected to happen basically what happened. And that was part of, generally Disney is cool. I like Disney. I think it can attract a whole new audience to tabletop, which I love. And was curious to play it, but at the same time, like, once it was clear there's no way to know how much product there's going to be, it's just not a game we're willing to play. And because we're trying to bring trust and stability to the ecosystem for players, right? And like if we can't do that, then we can't do what we do, in which case we're not going to rev up all the engines, right, to do it across the board.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. We don't have to play that game anymore. And we played the game and we had some close calls with subscribers not getting their stuff, but we always work through it.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's just not fun.
There were a lot of, in the past decade, there were a lot of instances where we got allocated, had to cancel orders, send a bunch of emails saying, and that was, we ended our Pokemon subscription last year because that was really reliable for a while and then it wasn't. Yeah. And it was like, well, if you're going to keep changing every time, then we're just going to stop because this is not what we want to be doing or who we are, basically. Yeah.
There we go.
We got any fun chats?
Yeah, we got some stuff coming in. Unplayable here. How are you able to do flesh and blood? Oh, we already tracked this message. I guess that someone answered it down here. He was asking if we could do this, why we were able to do the same thing with flesh and blood, but not with the other thing. And our friend here, Michael answered that we directly had this relationship with that. They we said, can we do this, this, and this? And if we do this, this, and this, will you guarantee supply? And they said, that sounds good to us. As far as I know. I'm just the guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason we have not allocated Fab in 3 or 4 years. But I think there's a lot of trust there because, like, when Monarch, there was nothing preventing us when Monarch was happening from matching market prices at $300, $400, $500 a box, and we stayed at MSRP. Again, it's just about trust and reliability and stability, and like. We're not here to corner a market and raise prices to $500 a box, right? Like that is not the purpose. We want to get product in players' hands so they can go to the table and play the game with other people.
And the crazy thing, and not to overextend this discussion, but the thing as an outside looking in kind of guy that always amazes me is the crux of this is that at some point in the chain on most games, no one wants to pay for this up front to assure their supply. I think retailers probably would, but distributors don't want to, or like there's some sort of crazy...
I don't think retailers could most of the time.
Just be having that money just out in the ether for so long?
So it's effectively, and again, we've talked about this a lot, but publishers have to hit print well in advance. Distributors don't want to sit on product. They don't want to prepay for product up front. No one wants to take risk, right? The publisher has to take risk because they have to hit print. And they inherently have they have the most certain to gain from this thing existing and being successful, right? A distributor doesn't, in my experience, doesn't want to commit to product until much closer to it actually showing up. A retailer doesn't want to commit to product till a week before.
Right.
And a retailer really doesn't, like a lot of times retailers will have terms with the distributor. So they'll get a product the week of release and now have to pay for it for a couple of weeks or a month.
Okay.
But from a cash flow perspective, you have to, it's scale too, right? So like a publisher, technically, MSRP, typically they only get 40%. And all their costs have to come out of that. They get the benefit of scale. Because every box of Fab that sells, Legend Story Studios had to make money on.
Okay. Fair.
Regardless of whether it sells to a player as well. If it sells to a distributor or it sells to a retailer, they've made money. That's happening. Whereas a distributor can buy product. And if you think about a distributor, if they're paying 40% of MSRP and typically selling, and these are loose terms, 50% of MSRP to a retailer, they are paying, let's call it a $10 product. They pay $4 and they make $5. So if you buy 10,000 units, the number of those you have to sell before they have broken even, because 10,000 units on that is 40 grand.
Okay.
So if they're only selling that for $5, it's like 40 grand.
I'm gonna get you a telescope.
Divided by 5 is 8,000.
Yeah.
So anyways, the point of it is the amount they have to sell, because their margin is only 1 out of 5, right? They're a 20% margin, I guess is the amount, is high. They have to sell through, I guess that would be 80%. Is my math right? I think my math's right. Before they've made any money. So if they over order, they just lost money. Like they could sell 70% of what they ordered and they still lost money. If you think about that.
That's crazy.
Whereas if a publisher sells 70% of what they ordered, they have made money.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
yeah, I'm with you.
So a retailer, similar math, right? They pay 50%. And let's say they charge MAP, which is 80%, or MSRP, which is, let's just say it's a MSRP 100%. So if they paid $10 for something, or if they paid $5, sorry, they get to sell it for 10.
Okay.
Once they've sold half their inventory, they've broken even.
Right.
So everything past that, everything past that is gravy, right? So they have the biggest margin, but they have the smallest scale because most retailers are local retailers, right? Now, a problem with the equation now is that most retailers can also sell online.
Right. That's we talked about that last week, I believe.
Yeah. At some point,
further reading,
which is basically just that a retailer has historically got the highest margin, but they also had the littlest scale. A publisher gets to sell all units to distribution. Distribution gets to sell units to a bunch of stores.
Right.
And then, if you think about the fact that there's 5 distributors.
So
divide that by 5, but then retailers just thousands.
Yeah.
So you're now getting these little incremental pieces. Your margin has to be bigger. Otherwise, you couldn't do these things that you're doing. So anyways, why was I even going down that train?
I don't know.
I got lost.
Great. It was great. There's
the risk aversion. So,
yeah.
So the reality though is that a distributor, the less time they have it and the less risk they have to take, the more product they know is going to sell. And they have to sell a lot of their product to make any money at all. Like they're working on very thin margins, right? So they're probably the most risk adverse because they can get burnt the easiest, and they're doing it on 1,000 games or 5,000 games a year. So you have to constantly be. Of course, you want to shorten that as much as you can.
Yeah.
Simultaneously with a retail store only has so much money, and that money has to be for most retailers. They make money by selling products, so they have to buy products that will sell fast enough that they sell it, get their money back. The upside they have can pay for all their bills, rent, employees, insurance, taxes, the whole 9 yards, and reinvest the other part into buying more inventory to keep that engine going.
Yeah.
So they really, most retailers, it's like even somewhere like Target, right? Giant retailer, Walmart, they don't want to be sitting on inventory.
Right.
They want
that's
to
just
turn.
dead money, right?
Yeah, 100%. So a retailer does not want to commit to boxes of a game 6 months before it comes out.
Because their money's tied up.
Yeah, and for a lot of retailers, the general idea is I will commit to this a week before it releases. It will show up, I'll put it on my shelf, and I'll sell it.
Right.
When you're doing something like we're doing with subscriptions, that's like before sales, right? So if you can't, it'd be one thing if you just list it on a website after you get it in. It doesn't matter how many you're getting, as long as you get enough to make it worth your time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the way that dynamic is set up is not built to accurately provide information back up the chain.
Right.
To tell a retailer, to tell a distributor, there's also so many steps to get that wrong.
Well, and the timeline is crazy. They're planning this 6 months in advance and then shipping it across the ocean.
And honestly, most players don't want to commit to product 6 months out.
Right.
That's where the subscription came from. It's like, what if you could commit to a product without actually committing to it?
Right.
Just give us the idea that you're intending to buy this.
No.
Yeah, and you can opt out all the way up till we charge, right? But like that was the starting to attack that problem, which is like, hey, we want information on about how many are we going to be selling, which then lets us go to a publisher and say, hey, can we guarantee we're going to get these things? Anyways.
So one thing I wanted to, there's a lot of good stuff here. Where are we? Where was it? Oh yeah. So this is Edward. So Lorcana debacle indirectly influences the distributor's confidence in Star Wars Unlimited before it is released. That is partially true, but I think the thing that I want to say is that this is an extremely predictable pattern that's been happening for the last decade. Like, it's extremely predictable. That there is a hot game that is oversold or, gets hot at some way.
Or underprinted.
Not enough people have it. Allocation happens. The stores know what to do, which is order more than they need, so that when they allocate it, they have some of what they need. But that increases the price, which means that people order more for the next one. That means it's more likely to overprint, which means that it's more likely to be sold for less than the store can sell it for to make their money back on it, which means that the third printing, they're not going to buy anything. This is the dominoes as they're set up almost every single time.
I could walk through this with so many different games, but like Star Wars Destiny, great example. And again, it's tough as a publisher. Gets announced at Gen Con. The general reception from players and retailers was, nope, this game's not it. Dice are chunky and colorful and looks like a kid's game. No one's going to buy this game. And back in 2016, it was like new CCG was a crazy idea in 2016. Like, it is not like it is today where they're just constantly coming out. And so FFG, with that information, is making decisions on how much to print.
Yeah, this is not, it looks dead in the water from the reaction at Gen Con.
Move forward to December when it comes out. And it comes out and things go crazy. And it sells out like immediately. Then they have a decision to make, right? Which is, okay, do we delay the second set to give us time to print more of the first set? How much of the second set do you print? How much more of the first set do you print? Right. And Lorcana is actually going through a similar thing now.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard, but I didn't know enough about it.
Yeah, but effectively what they did is they bumped the release date of set 2. They reprinted set 1, and they dramatically increased the print run of set 2. And then set 2 comes out, and it's like way overprinted. And partially for a lot of different reasons. One, they printed more, but two, the players that originally got the game, because there was a delay, there's this long stretch waiting for the second set to come out. So they lose interest.
Play with, yeah.
There's also a lot of people that didn't get the game.
Right.
And at some point they lose interest.
Yeah.
And so you get to the second set, and I think the overall interest, and part of it was less because the hype machine had died down. Like, when you can't get it and boxes are $300 and everyone's talking about how great this game is, in your brain, people are like, I want all this thing. And you're telling a retailer has 80 people saying, I would buy 6 boxes the next time if you can get them. So a retailer's sitting there doing the math, seeing $300 boxes and saying, yeah, I'll take 400. And it's like, well, I got allocated, or I couldn't get enough this time. So I want 400. I'll tell 4 distributors I want 400. I'm like, hope I get it.
Right.
And then the week before comes up, and it's like, here's 400.
Yeah, they printed enough.
Like,
400 for
interesting.
Distributors.
Meanwhile, only 200 sell. So then 200 is sitting there, and then we talked about earlier, a retailer needs to get that cash out. So then what does a retailer do now?
Sell it for cost online.
They're going to sell it as cheap as they can online. And when that happens, well, I'm looking at it. I paid $100 a box. Retailers selling it for $50 a box a week later. Going to set 3 as a player, what am I going to do? It's like, well, I'll buy a couple boxes, but I'm going to wait and see.
Yeah.
Like, what are the
prices? I can get this for super cheap.
What are the prices? And so you really can't. It's tough. Yeah. Like I said, it is tough to get that right. But the wheel keeps spinning. So someone was saying, like, it did Lorcana affect different publishers, different IPs, different situation. But I think it's just how CCG works. Like, a retailer doesn't want to commit to close to release, so they know the temperature of players and how many people want it. Because players don't want to commit until it's time to commit. Meanwhile, distribution also doesn't want to commit to anything until it's much closer. So a publisher is left just printing what they think that will sell. And when you don't have historical data of set sales, like Magic is both big enough and they have enough history, it's a lot easier, I think, for them to try to predict how much to print.
So there's a particular problem for new CCGs because that demand is so...
You have no idea.
Yeah.
And then you get, if you have an initial release that's not enough, your sense of demand is so inflated, it's impossible to get that right.
Right.
And so it just keeps reinforcing itself one way or another. But like with Magic, right? Like if you're printing, I have no idea how much they print, but if you're printing 10 million booster boxes, being off by 200,000, 400,000 booster boxes is way different than if you're printing 30,000 boxes and you're off by 20,000 boxes. Right? You could be off by that same 40,000. It's very different for a new publisher.
Fascinating.
We'll see how it goes and how they handle it. But I would not be surprised if it sells out, if the game's fun, and aftermarket prices on boxes. Like a product gets hard to find, and then the prices spike.
Yeah. And this, just one very important disclaimer: this is nothing about the quality of the game, which I think is fantastic. This is about the business, wonky, lever-pulling business side of it that unfortunately you got to play by. Like, I mean, Jeremy's, really put the time and effort in to design a game. And he's here and he's made this amazing thing.
Apparently a team of like 8 people.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
these 8 people.
Yeah, it's not just Jeremy. We know Jeremy very well.
And that's tragic, right? And that's what I think a lot of what we're hoping to do by having these direct relationships with these publishers to help that curve, that prediction, that whatever, be more understood so they're sustainable with the thing that they love, the thing they put so much care and time into.
Yeah, and like I don't...
Not just throwing it to the wolves, it's just another like dollar sign to speculate on.
It's also worth saying, like, a choice to go with the tried and true traditional system, period, makes sense. Like, this is just how the industry is functioning. And so them working the way that they do, I mean, it's just how, like, even Lorcana, it's just how it works.
Yeah.
So I guess all that to say is, like, there's not like a animosity or a fault or anything. It's fine.
Right.
Effectively, if we're saying, hey, here's what we do, here's what we need to do what we do, are you interested in that or not? If the answer is no, that's fine.
Yeah, and they've made their own calculations that say that's the way to go.
Yeah, and honestly, like, Lorcana is selling out. So, like, I'm sure the team at Ravensburg is very happy. But again, for us, like, it's not just about maximizing sales, right? So the hope is that we can interject for at least the people who are in our ecosystem that trust and the reliability and the lack of having, even right now, it's like, I buy a lot of products through our subscriptions. So if I did want to buy Star Wars Unlimited, it reminds me of someone mentioned a comment about my Wizards experience in the summer.
I'll try to find
which was, I've never bought Magic, but they did the Lord of the Rings set, and I was interested in, like, let me experience Magic. And I went to their website, and it blew my mind. I went to their website, and it's like, hey, click here to buy directly from Amazon through us, basically. And I was like, click. I guess I'll order this thing. And then I was like, before I do this, I posted in our Discord channel. If you're not on our Discord, you should be for conversations just like this all the time. But I posted on our Discord channel. I was like, hey, I've never bought Magic. Like, what's the best way to do this? And to a person, it's like, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but don't buy from Amazon. I was like, wait a second. So the publisher links to Amazon as, like, if you're not going to buy it at your local game store that you go to, buy it here from Amazon, which feels like I'm buying directly from Wizards.
Right.
And people are saying, don't do it.
Okay.
And I'm like,
but that's their link.
And it's Amazon. It's
yeah.
Like, I mean, makes sense to me.
That's the thing, yeah. You push the button.
And effectively, there's 1,000 reasons why. But it was really fascinating to me because then it's like, all right, well, let me see if any of the local stores that sell Magic can do it. And this continues to blow my mind. So they have all these different types of boxes. They have a collector one, which is how you maybe get the one ring, and it's like $400 a box. So I'm here, not a Magic player, and I'm like prepared to buy a $400 box of like 12 packs, which is insane already. Like, this is already a crazy thing that I'm doing as a human. So I reach out to one store. I'm like, hey, I'd like to pre-order this to just know that I'm getting this thing. And they're like, oh, we don't do pre-sales because we never know how much product we're going to get, which hits back at this allocation thing.
Yeah.
It's so, and I always assumed that distribution worked the way it did because it was really focused on the big three and built by the big three,
right? And
built to serve those three. So if you're like a small, medium-sized publisher working with distribution, and they don't want to have product till late, and they're allocating, and they're doing all this stuff, it's like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then experiencing it with Magic was just kind of eye-opening because stores are saying, we don't do pre-sales because we don't know how much we're going to get. The biggest game in the industry, retailers still just have no idea how much product they're going to get set to set, which is boggling.
Yeah.
Because even
that's the big one. That's how it's supposed. That's the one that's supposed to be the paragon.
Yeah, and it's like, well,
pinnacle.
if this is how, and so I eventually learned that no store in town would pre-sell me
Oh wow.
a $400 box of 16 or 12 packs because they have no idea how much they're getting. And it's like, this is how this is functioning.
Everyone just thinks this is cool.
And
it's fine.
It's crazy to me because, like, as a retailer, you only exist or survive because you sell products. Mm-hmm. And your mainline product, you don't ever know how much you're getting. Mm-hmm. Which is wild.
Yeah.
Like,
how can you do anything?
Your whole business is based on that.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyways.
Just random numbers.
So all that to say, it's apparently normal how this works. But for us from the very beginning, I remember the first time we got allocated, it was like, the question became, how do I remove allocation?
Yeah. Well, let's not do this again.
Yeah. Like, how do I fix this?
Mm-hmm.
Because all I want to be able to do is say, Jonathan, you want the next Netrunner pack? I got you.
Yeah.
And as a business, I'm going to do whatever it takes to guarantee up the chain. I'm going to get you that product. Mm-hmm. And the whole system, like even distribution, it's like we could tell them how many Netrunner packs we wanted a year out. Mm-hmm. They don't care. They're literally going to wait until they get the shipment in, and then they're going to say,
how much
here's what we're going to send to you. And we ran into that one of the more frustrating things as a business, actually, a little behind the curtains, was there. I don't remember what game it was at this point, but there was a game where we did a lot of content, a lot of promotion and stuff, and marketed it and sold a lot of it, and it did really well for us. And then we got allocated, mm-hmm. and it was sort of this realization that, like, the more successful we help a game become, the higher we're running the risk that we're going to get allocated because of it.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I hope that comes through very clearly, because like we were putting all this time and effort to basically make more or less free content, right? That was supposed to be paid for by us then having the audience to sell the stuff to. But as the game became more and more popular, more and more everybody wanted it. And then because of that, there was not enough printed. So we actually had less to sell to the people that we had gotten interested. That's not a good incentive. Yeah,
it's really strange. But even on a retail level, right? I think that's kind of where it's going. It's like that's just the snippet that's us in our perspective. Yeah.
But on a retail level, you're right about that as well.
As a retailer, if I think it's just the way it is, right? It's like I have to buy Magic when it comes out because if I stop buying it, distribution will give me less the next thing. Yeah. And I have to find a way to sell it, so I'll sell it for whatever I've got to do to get the job done. And I need to up my volumes so that I keep getting the right allocations from distribution. It's this whole game. So they're kind of just subject to it. But like the natural response once that hit us, and we weren't dealing with the big three, right? Mm-hmm. Which are probably unchangeable.
Yeah.
Like it just is what it is.
Yeah. It works for them.
But once you run into that, it's sort of like just asking the question, how do we never have this? Because I don't ever want me or anyone at the company, usually Steven, to write an email to someone that says, hey, I know you signed up for a subscription 8 months ago, or you pre-ordered from us 8 months ago, but we were unable to get this. We got allocated.
Yeah.
Like I will go out of business before that happens, right? So that's just where we're at now. Mm-hmm. And there was a long time. Fortunately, we can do that, and also are willing to.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
So all that to say, if we can't make that happen, which we can't for Unlimited, then it's kind of just a pass for us as a business. But as a player, I'm interested in checking it out. I'll probably go to some local drafts and stuff. We might end up streaming it a time or two. And we'll go from there.
I hope this isn't a faux pas to say, and you can look and see if there's any good comments you want to respond to while I'm doing it. But as you pucker up whenever I say that. But when you're talking about Lorcana and
I can't read and listen, so I'm just getting nervous. What do you?
You're talking about Lorcana and what they're doing, and that they're probably very happy with the numbers and the profit that they're getting back. And that's when you have to realize that this whole system is really built on maximizing profit, as most business systems are, and it's as we've demonstrated in this talk. Hopefully, it's more of a short-sighted thing, because while your profit is greater up front with these big influxes of product, eventually the players tire out of these waves. And so, I think what we're really asking ourselves at this is not what makes us more profit, but what makes us more players. Like, if you can always guarantee that you and your friend can get the product to play, like that's a much longer-term goal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are hesitant to look long term because a lot of people are living, day to day, paycheck to paycheck. But I think that is like at the core of why we're making the decisions we're making and why we are seeing it differently. Even though I think most players hate it, a lot of stores and distributors and particularly publishers are seeing dollar signs from it and therefore want to continue this sort of what ostensibly seems like a universally bad system.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like not give an excuse for the publishers, but to help understand why they stick to these systems that are patently bad for players.
Yeah. Now that said, I will on Lorcana / Ravensburger's benefit, as far as I know, and this is from various retailer groups I'm in and people that I know in conversation because we haven't touched it. They have said from the beginning, we are going to print this into the ground.
Basically, until everybody has what they want.
But it's basically like we are going to print until this is widely available.
Okay, fair enough.
So that was one of the crazy things about the boxes going to $300 or $400. Secondary market is like there's more coming.
Yeah,
they are going to reprint.
Yeah.
But the long tail of that is kind of interesting. And collectible games are just walking the tightrope all the time because if you print it past demand, the box prices are inherently going to be, down. And if you're continually printing past that, then stores are going to order less and players are going to buy less and like they're going to wait and they're going to do the whole thing. And so it's this tight. I mean, it's such a weird industry and game product format, right? But they have openly said that from the beginning. Product will be available. They will keep making it available until it's available, right? And so. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're seemingly delivering. They just reprinted set 1. They just had set 2 come out.
Okay.
And they'll keep doing it. But at the end of the day, there's a certain amount of uncertainty and chaos that, and again, it's sort of like you can imagine PlayStation's getting made for Target. They do have pre-sales, I guess, to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I think PlayStation was hard to find for a very long time.
Yeah, but it's sort of just like, 10 showed up at the Target over here. We're going to put it on the shelf and sell it.
Yeah.
So there's not like a proactive, I guess the main thing is, as a player, I just want an easy, reliable way to get what I want without having to do the dance all the time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of our perspective is shaped from that seat a lot as players ourselves. Whereas from just a retail perspective, it's like, well, stuff keeps coming on, I put it on a shelf and sells. Fine.
Yeah.
So I just think it's felt more by us. And it's like, well, why am I ever getting allocated?
Yeah.
I remember one time we had to allocate a pack 4 of an Arkham cycle. It's like we gave someone 3 of the 6 packs and then we just had to say, sorry, we don't have enough.
Yeah.
How in the middle of a cycle what happened?
Yeah. that
was one of the most befuddling things. Anyways, I could talk forever on this topic. Any other notable comments or down low? What happened to Steven?
Yeah, he's on vacation. I'm his brother.
He's hitting the slopes.
I'm older than him.
I am older.
I think we're the same amount of bulb.
Clockwork saying, well, at the very least, I appreciate y'all attempting to get a guaranteed sub going for Star Wars Unlimited. Hopefully publishers will eventually come around on it and see there's a better way forward.
That's our hope. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of one of the missions.
And hopefully at least there's some number of them that want to make it better in that way.
Yeah.
And there seemingly have been. That's the publishers we're working with now.
Yeah. So I mean, we got some proof.
Just sort of scanning through. I can't read unless.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I'll try to figure out. We're not twins. We're 3 years apart, but we have very strong genes. We look exactly the same.
You look very similar.
Especially because at one point I didn't have hair and he did, and that was nice. But now we're both. And then I used to have a long beard, but then I started being on stream.
You even started wearing the button-up shirts. So
yeah,
man, it's confusing.
I know.
You should wear the ones that make my eyes go weird.
I was gonna tell I can tell a story now if you want to look at the comments, see if there's anything good. Yes, the fireworks are turned off. We couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't do it. But I was like, so really in my real life, I am very much the archetype of the disheveled artist. I can't break it. I literally just if the thing on top, the thing I wore yesterday is not too dirty, I'll wear it again. If it is, I'll just grab the next thing on top. But I'm trying to class it up for the stream. I'm trying to look nice. I've got I'm burning through my nice clothes. I think I have to do laundry every week now. So
maybe I have an idea. You can buy more of them.
No. All
right, let's scan back up. I have some comments.
So, okay, great.
Shochi 84. What, in theory, is the barrier to Fab's original vision of direct-to-retailer, and is it possible for an established game?
I thought you were doing the Fallen Empires problem, because I don't know what that is, but...
It is,
there we go.
To an extent, I think. Okay, so if you're unaware, Legend Story Studios is the publisher of Fab. Before 2020. They originally launched with a direct-to-retailer system.
Oh, so I vaguely recall that.
They were basically like, instead of working with a distributor, you're going to buy from us directly. So one of the problems that small to medium-sized publishers have doing this, first off, you have to have the logistical capability to do it. Serving 4 distributors is very different than serving 3,000 retail stores. The second piece of that is they have to be interested in doing it. So a retailer, most retailers sell a lot of products from a lot of different publishers. And so if they had to order from every publisher directly, the amount of work that would just to order on a weekly basis, as an example, if I need 2 copies of Settlers of Catan and 6 boxes of Fab and 10 boxes of Dragon Shield sleeves, it's like if I had to order 10 from here, 10 from here, 10 from here, not only is it more time consuming, it's also more expensive because I'm going to have to pay shipping or hit a free shipping level for each of these things. And so if you aren't a giant game commanding a lot, like significant presence, it's very hard to get retailers to change of behavior is hard in general. So get retailers to change that structure and make it make sense, right? The other thing is distributors, a lot of their systems work on volume. So you actually, as a retailer, or it makes sense as a distributor, are incentivized to spend most of your money with a single thing. Because when it comes time to get allocated for Magic or Lorcana or Star Wars Unlimited, the higher your volumes routinely are, the more favorably your allocations are going to be. So if Legend Story comes around, even if you're buying 100 boxes every time, which, 100 boxes at cost for a retailer is about $50 a box. That's $5,000 in order. That would qualify for free shipping. That'd be worth Legend Story's time shipping to you. But when you're a new game, how much product is a retailer wanting to order from you? And how often? And are they willing to set up a separate account? And does it have the same terms? Like, do I have to pay up front? How does customer service work? Because right now, something goes wrong with my order, and there's 5 things wrong with my $10,000 order from distribution. I email one person. It's my sales rep from a distributor. And then they start dealing with this problem. So I think, to answer the question in full, that Andrew's going, we'll come back to that. I think that so funny. A giant publisher could do this. Like if Wizards was like, to buy Magic, retailers, you have to order directly from us. And if I was a distributor, that would be like my most looming vulnerability and concern. Now, I don't know what structures they have and agreements they have and deals and how long it lasts and stuff.
There's contracts.
But the reality of if Wizards or Pokemon wanted, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably wanted to say, if you want this product, you got to go direct. It's worth enough to these retailers that I think most of them would make that pivot. But going direct, right? Like, it's very different to go direct with. Again, there's just thousands of people. There was another comment.
Well, and a lot of times the distributors, what business people call them, white sheet list menu of the games that you can buy from them is the maximum amount of name recognition marketing that a lot of stuff gets. Like, if Flesh and Blood ostensibly burnt the distributors and said we're doing direct to retail, they're going to drop them from that list. They're not going to have any interest in helping promote that game or talk about it at all. And so a lot of the less tuned in stores that might have great audiences for such a game are not going to know about it.
Yeah. And even just realistically, there's problems after problems with everything. So at a retail level, something like Fab coming along saying you buy directly from us, even through distribution, even with great margins, even if it's a beautiful, great product that would serve some niche or market that you can't serve currently, the incentive for a retailer to proactively market a game that's not one of the games that's already successful, especially these expandable games, is so low. Because if you think about it, it's not like retailers have 100 card gamers come in a week that don't have a game to play. Right? It's like, I'm coming in because I play Magic. And I buy Magic, and I play Friday Night Magic, and I play on Tuesday, and I do whatever. So when Fab comes out, why in the world would a retailer say, hey, Magic players, here's this other game you should play, when Magic's release a new product every 12 days? So they already can't keep up with that. So if you start promoting Fab, the only thing you're going to do is take players from other games, split them.
The old cannibalism problem.
Now you have smaller audiences for both.
Less players for each.
And most new games go away. So now you got them to play Fab for 2 years. And honestly, in 2019, if you're looking at Fab, statistically speaking, most new games fail. within the first 3 to 4 years. So then you're like diverting them over to this thing. Game dies, and now do they even put the effort in to get back into Magic or whatever it is?
Because they've been out.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of reasons that a new publisher would struggle to go direct to retailers. I think a big one could, but also a big one doesn't have to. They're probably pretty happy with how it's going.
Yeah.
Like Magic.
This works for
them. Print products. They ship it to 4-5 different distributors. It gets to stores. They keep rolling.
Yeah.
But at some point, they could flip that switch.
Yeah.
Now, again, you have to do a lot to be a distributor. And someone asked, the other comment was Jet Force Gem, basically asking if we would ever consider becoming a distributor. Yeah. So I think there's 2 reasons practically that the answer to this is no. Now, nothing's impossible.
Time's long.
But ultimately, I think it's very different when you're a product or service for a player versus a retailer.
Right.
And there's different capabilities you need, different, even just the amount of space and staff and services and all that kind of stuff. And our primary interest is in serving players, honestly. So even just conceptually, the idea of being a distributor for stores isn't super appealing on the surface, but also what it takes to be a distributor is very different. Like it's a very different skill set and capability. So right now we're deep in the planning of 3.0 and like that's going to be the next primary focus for us. So there are just problems that we're aiming at that are different, that are different than these particular problems. Because for the most part, right, and again, it's not a problem for most things.
Right.
This whole system, because if you're a board game and you just print it and most of these places buy it and then it's on the shelf, or if you're the big games, why would you change something?
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to look at it and say, well, they could do this and fix this problem. But again, I think the way the market sits right now, the big 3 are pretty happy.
Yeah.
So
it seems to only be a big problem for the exact segment of the industry that we represent. Way to go,
the games we like and care about, the publishers we want to work with. Because again, I think if you're one of the top 3 right now, change represents the risk of very tectonic shifts.
Yeah.
And you don't want tectonic shifts, right? You just want certainty, and you want consistency.
Print your cards, make your money.
But if you're a small to medium-sized publisher, the whole system is kind of against you. It's very tough, and that's where even someone like FFG to me is actually a medium-sized publisher for a TCG in comparison to the big 3. Even just the print scale and volume, I think, will be several factors less than something like Magic.
Yeah,
and so. It's a very tough system to navigate.
Yeah. And it's in the same way, small to medium-sized retailers also. This system is not for you.
Now, interesting point. I know we've been...
All right.
And I'm going to fulfill Andrew's dream and just keep talking about it. Do they work?
No, it turned off. But
sad.
I'll turn it back on just for this. We'll get some fireworks for us.
Yeah.
There we go.
Here's an interesting note.
Okay.
FFG is a studio.
It is.
So they design games and they promote them. Asmodee is a publisher dealing with printing, logistics, fulfillment, distribution. So in a way, FFG is a publisher that is selling directly to stores because they are their own distributor, kind of. And yet, even with that being the case, seemingly not interested in solving that problem.
Yeah, that's blowing my mind.
Right? Because talking about why doesn't a publisher just go direct and solve this problem? And again, because it's a very tough problem to solve, how do you actually gauge how much products players want? How do you actually gauge demand?
Yeah.
Even if you're serving retailers directly, retailers don't even have the answer to that question.
Yeah, because retailers are asking players.
Yeah, and most of the time when you're a fab, the reason that fab gets sold in a local store is because enough people coming into that space already are asking for it.
Yeah.
Not because the retailer said, here's this new great thing you should do.
Right. I've discovered this, and I think that you will like it.
Yeah, because if you walk into a retailer and say, hey, I'll buy 4 boxes of Fab, they're like, click, 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 add it to my distributor's next order. I'll get it in for you and sell it to you because it's just an easy transaction for them. And enough people are doing that. They're like, oh, well, a set's coming out. I'll go ahead and get so many products. And it's not all retailers are this way. There's, like I said, thousands of them. So Some are very proactive and they love, just like us, right? I think they love these innovative small to medium-sized publishers that are trying to push things forward and do new interesting things and grow the hobby and all this kind of stuff. And so they proactively support, but most fab communities I know are run by players. Yeah. The tournaments are scheduled by players. They're the TOs, like Adam over at Ebb and Unplugged, does a lot of work for that fab community. And Mike, the owner of the store, great guy, love the space. I love going to their store. But like, if in my mind, if Adam wasn't there, I don't think that community would be happening in the way that it is. And so it's just this really crazy stack of paradigms all stacked up. And in some ways it's working. And it's really hard to change, right? Like the ones having the problems are so disconnected from the ability to change it.
Yeah.
Small to medium publishers that have the problem and are creating products to try to solve it aren't in control of the industry. Individual retailers aren't in a position to do it. And I think that's another part of solving these problems is so challenging. And so I think you'd have to be really committed to solving it. And weirdly in the right position and capable to even attack some of it. But anyways,
and I mean, you know, like, not to toot our own horn, but I think we've scrapped our way into a position where we have some control over it. And I think that's what we're doing with it, which is inspiring for me as an employee to be part of.
Self high five. Yeah, because I think that's the, for us, when Covenant started in that first year is when we adopted the like Phoenix and a Spade logo and the tagline Gaming Reborn because we were just sort of frustrated with all the ways that we felt like the industry wasn't as good as it should be, right? Because we love tabletop. We think it's a really profound experience and hobby that more people should be engaged in. And it was being held back by all these problems, right? And so it's like, Gaming Reborn, we're going to revolutionize everything. But over time and as you get older, you start realizing what you're actually capable of achieving.
Yeah.
And so trying to systematically change the entire
which is you can change something, but it's harder to change everything.
Yeah. So trying to change this massive ecosystem that honestly is built to serve something way like even just the big three. That's like so far beyond us that you really start focusing in on the things you can change. Yeah. So as an example, it's like, can we find small to medium-sized publishers to work with that want to solve these same problems that we want to solve? And the answer is yes. Like, fortunately, they exist. And can we, as an example, create a place into the greatest place in the world to play tabletop games? I hope so. We'll see. We'll see if we can, right? But like, you just, it's sort of like, there's probably some great quote that I could insert here about, you know, if everyone would just focus on fixing things in front of them, the world would be a better place.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, and it's like, we can't control everything, but we can control what we're doing. Yeah. And the decisions we're making and the publishers we're trying to support and the initiatives we're just deciding to go after. And so hopefully there's a lot of other people doing the same thing because I think this hobby is lovely and I'd love to see it thrive.
Yeah. And there's a lot of cool games out there.
Yeah.
You know, that's a cool thing. I think Shoichi kind of sums it up here. This discussion leaves me both fascinated with the industry and completely discouraged from becoming involved in it.
I mean, I would just say if you are interested in being involved,
at least you have clear eyes, you know, like go in knowing that this is a thing.
Yeah.
Instead of discovering it when you have to allocate the person's fifth Arkham pack.
I think if you're curious and you ask questions, there's a reason things are the way they are, right? It doesn't make it right or
the hero becomes a tyrant, right? Like every problem was once a solution. So this was a solution to, because even, you know, not to circle back too much, but even when you were talking about if everyone was a distributor, then you can immediately, and you have these stores who are trying to order the right quantities from each, you know, different individual publisher. Immediately you see how someone could pop up and their whole thing is you pay them a portion of what you get and they order from the publishers direct, so you don't have to worry about it. It's like it just created itself again immediately.
Yeah, which, you know, the internet changes a lot of things. And I think one thing we've seen shift over time is that in the 90s, you make a product and you pitch it to distribution. They either pick it up or they don't. And maybe you pay for some magazine ads and stuff, but like you can't promote directly, you can't sell directly. Like that's very challenging in a very segmented, small industry. So there's change afoot, and you see more and more of it. And you see even the pivot in board games to like Kickstarters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's
a very
so
good point.
hard to use this system if you're not massively successful.
I think that's probably a topic for another day, but like that is the impetus and the drive behind all of this push on Kickstarter, is that it is a direct model. Yeah. And that's what they're doing because they don't want to go through the distribution system. It's a reaction to if the distribution system was working for that size of publisher, then the Kickstarting would not need to happen.
Which it's impossible for distribution to work for every publisher of that size.
Mm-hmm. Just like the music industry. I mean, like we're not calling this is just what happens.
Yeah.
This is just business.
I think that's where I've arrived, right? Where it's like that's why I was saying there's no animosity earlier because it's like there's a reason these systems are set up this way.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And I want to change that or have an alternative.
Yeah.
And so that's what we set about doing. But like that inherently means a lot of things is not going to jive here. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
That's okay. Doesn't all have to work. We can all have our own thing.
And if you're trying to buy Star Wars Unlimited, Godspeed and good luck. May the force be with you.
Enjoy it. I hear it's a great game. We're not saying you shouldn't enjoy it. We're definitely not saying you shouldn't play it. Just saying that the distribution model does not work for what we're trying to accomplish.
That's right. I think we did.
Boom.
I think we covered that one in
Also, hilariously,
30 minutes times 3.
Half of the internet just realized that I'm not Steven.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it was Brandon Springer up there. You remember Brandon Springer? Chelsea boy.
Hey.
My wife just walked in and was like, "Man, Steven is getting old." Yeah, I am stealing the life force. I'm not surprised she didn't say I'm looking
more
old.
Youthful than Steven.
If I looked how I felt, I'd look a lot older.
I've got a 4-year-old. I'm definitely less useful.
Yeah, you've been getting.
I'm just going to put Nathan's up here just because it's a long one. The interesting thing is that when the small game companies have a big game that brings eyes to the smaller games of theirs, then that's when it starts to get published and sent to distro. But it started with D2C, direct to consumer.
Yeah, I'm really like calling. It's so funny, and I think it can be annoying internally, but there's just something weird about calling the people buying the products like consumers or customers to me. Because like I see them as like players of games.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like I mean we are selling something to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, consumer. It's like man, this is just so business schooly. I don't know. Maybe that's what we need though.
I believe, so Andre with a very nice compliment there. So much great input and in a very confusing topic. Yeah, we'll I'm sure be talking more about that.
Yeah.
It is a major problem. And the crazy thing for me, when this whole thing started going up was when we first started going to Gamma. And we started having these interviews and everyone was hitting the same points, but like all from a siloed perspective of their part on the tier chain.
Yeah.
And I remember coming back after that first trip and just being like, we can see this because we've done all these interviews with the different levels, but like I don't think anyone else is seeing it as hard as we see it right now.
Yeah. Well, and when you have that many parties involved, like of course there's distribution or publisher, distribution, retail, player. They've all got perspectives. They've all got interests. They've all got issues they're dealing with. And then I remember that one game we were talking about where we're just hitting these different layers, and it's like. These dots just aren't connected. And sometimes they can't be. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. What's best for how do you create a system that is equally good for all parts and the best? And you can't maximize for all these things.
Yeah.
Like what's best for the publisher is not the ideal scenario all the way down the line. So, on and on it goes.
And then I just want to get this on the record. Ryan asking, what's the best route for up-and-coming TCG devs to get their game in front of you to try out? So I think from what I've read on our Discord, if the game is finished,
this is fun.
Right? Like if the game is finished, we're not looking to basically come in on a beta of something and give recommendations.
Yeah, so we pretty distinctly stay out of the lane of like testing and development for people.
Right.
So that's clear. This is honestly the answer to this is something that we're talking about on our side.
Okay.
Just in terms of historically, it's just been very relationship based. So like we either know people or for some reason they have our email address or we demo their game at something and we're on the lookout for it. So there really needs to be like even our support contact form right now says if you don't have an order number, don't use this.
Right.
Which puts those people in a weird space. So you can find me on the Discord channel.
Yeah.
That's a good start. You can reach out to me and we can go from there. But like if you have something you want to put in front of us, I can get you my email address and we can engage, but we do get requests all the time. We get sent stuff all the time. And there's only so many people we can work with. We are interested in continuing to find new people to work with. But that for now, that's a fine answer. And then hopefully at some point in the near future on the website, there'll be an official.
Oh, tight.
Here's how you do it. But that's something that we're discussing. I mean, it's very fresh.
So we're still discussing it.
It's just like not even guaranteed. It's
but
just like.
As of right now, I think Discord direct messages probably the best way to go.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm here for you.
That's right. I mean,
I'm trying.
So like historically, it's just been like so organic.
Right.
Because like even we're gonna play alphaclash in a second. It's like I saw them post something or sorcery something. I saw them post something on social media. I reached out and I'm like, hey, we'd be curious to check out your thing. Start a conversation. They send us some stuff. We try it out. We have more conversations about, basically, do your goals and our goals align? Are we philosophically in alignment in terms of where we want to go and how we want to get there? And if so, the wheels keep spinning.
Yeah. Ryan appreciates the answer. We did it. That wasn't so hard.
Yeah.
I've been on back in the day when I was on the more freelance side of things. I remember going and schlepping spec stuff around. And so I have a big heart for people who are just trying to get their stuff seen. Might not work out, but there's the answer. Yeah. Okay, hey, we can go to news now. Let's do it. Let's do it before we read any more comments and things get crazy.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to start from the top.
Yeah, start the news. I'm going to...
Covenant. You got a Covenant logo to put up there?
Oh, yeah, sure. No, I don't have a Covenant logo to put up there.
I'll just do it. It's a C. This will be our second to last stream until mid-January.
That's all right. Yeah.
So we're going to stream next week. It's going to be a holiday vibe. Playing Crokinole, playing Nightmare Before Christmas, maybe having some eggnog. And then the 2 Mondays after that are Christmas, New Year's.
That's right.
Are we streaming that next week? Do you know yet?
I'm not going to be around.
You're not going to be here.
You
but
guys can decide.
I assume we'll figure that out.
Click the buttons or not.
And that's all I got to say about that. We also...
we're coming back.
Tentatively, I'll just say, a little sizzle. We might be launching something next Monday.
Oh, yeah?
But... you'll have to tune in to see if we do. I can't say anymore. You already know what it is.
Go through my notes here. Yep. Okay.
Right. Just a little spice. Nathaniel, I love that. Saying Nightmare Stream. My favorite, alphaclash.
Boom. I got one for alphaclash.
There it is.
It didn't show up
I don't see anything. Issued a small errata to some of the glass buffs, I believe.
That's right. Oh, that's turn it off.
Both missing the stipulation regarding their contender affiliation, unlike the other 3 buffs. So there were 2 that didn't specify the icon on the bottom right, basically affiliation that it had to be to use it, and they've now changed that because they were just like generically.
I thought they did a lovely job with that article. I read it last night.
They have done a really good job of just communicating things,
and that was the whole purpose of that, which is like, hey, we're going to get in ahead of this. We're not going to pretend it doesn't exist. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Then moving on, I'm going to roll through this because we got to get
going.
Arkham Horror. Yeah, you already know what it is. Some spoilers coming through of different investigators. We do have a release scheduled for the, what do they call it? The player card expansion for Arkham Horror. And this is the Hemlock Vale saga. And this is kind of an interesting one. So don't really have any Marvel Champions news, but I will say I played Marvel Champions over the weekend, and it's related to Arkham, so I just want to hit on this. I've been playing through an X-Men campaign, 4-player with some friends, and previous to us kind of taking the studio down and then moving here, Steve and I played Champions a lot on stream.
Yeah, that's right.
We were doing it very frequently.
Yes.
At a lot of times very difficult levels.
Yeah.
And I will just say, playing Marvel Champions once every 2 or 3 months in a 4-player social setting has been really enjoyable.
Did you jump to Marvel Champions from Arkham very quickly?
Well, I'm coming back to that.
Okay.
It's all involved.
To get the right logos up
so
there.
It's nothing inherently about Marvel other than the story, but I'm leading to an Arkham conversation.
I blanked out for just the wrong amount of time.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens. It's like a stream sensation.
All right, so you have been playing Marvel Champions, have been really enjoying playing Marvel Champions on a non-camera based.
Non-camera, not as often. 4 players instead of 2 players. And the intent behind it is like more social than it is game. It's not like let's beat super heroic thing.
I see,
which was fun at the time.
It's fun for me.
You know what I mean? That was good for a while. But it made me think because Marvel had this really weird 6 to 8 months with a lot almost no releases coming out.
Mm-hmm.
They slowed way down, and they've recently started releasing hero packs again. But Arkham pivoted to a new release model,
right? The boxes
a year ago. So instead of a monthly pack or a deluxe followed by 6 monthly chapter packs or whatever mythos packs, they do these big boxes, which inherently, and not only are the boxes less releases, but they're even doing those less often than they used to. So it has slowed down. Curious, because we also used to play Arkham a lot, and we have not played Arkham in a long time. But I'm curious for Arkham players, if you're watching live or watching this back later, just to hear your thoughts on the product format. Because on the one hand, it's less continual engagement, but on the other hand, if it's anything like my Champions experience, it can be kind of nice.
Yeah.
To have a slower, lean back pacing to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not particularly tuned in to, and Arkham's not a game where you're really tuned into the community anyway. Normally, right? Those cooperative games are tricky.
Yeah.
Because you just kind of
play whenever you want.
Yeah, you're just doing your thing. Yeah. Whereas competitive games, it's tournament sizes, how frequent are people, new decks becoming the meta, and all that kind of stuff. You just have these barometers that are way less in a cooperative game. So all that to say, that is one pivot that FFG made that I'm curious to see how it pans out in the long run. Logistically, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Probably quite nice.
Yeah. But it almost reminds me of the difference between a Netflix show dropping and you can binge the whole thing, which is the new model. It's one season every year or two. Yeah. Here it is versus episodic weekly. And I'm a huge fan of one episode a week and just being able to
just come in. It's appointment television.
You just
that kind
do
of
your thing. You have time to digest it and think about it and sit with it. So yeah, I assume people that are highly engaged with it, it's a little, I don't know. Is it nice or is it unnerving?
We're at 100% that they love the boxes. If I was not on stream right now, I'd put a little poll up, but it's too hard to do like this.
From a buying perspective, it seems way easier.
Yeah.
And I know in forwards and backwards, in the future, buying that same cycle is a lot easier because sometimes that one pack will be missing.
Oh, yes.
That was a continual problem with some of the cycles because they just had some good player cards in them.
Yeah.
And then it was I can't play this campaign because pack 3 is missing.
Yeah. And there's, in some ways, it's better than the Netflix. It's not a perfect analogy, obviously. But it's with Netflix, you can sit in your bed and watch a whole season in a day if you really hate yourself. But with Arkham, even if you're just really trying to get X, even if you're solo, it takes a while. It's
hard to do that in a day.
Savoring kind of experience. It takes you through an emotional thing that you need to, let's say recover from, or at least give space to breathe. If you have multiple people, then getting them together for extended periods of time is very difficult. So I think it naturally paces itself more than a Netflix show does, and maybe like I said, everyone loves the 2-box thing. So
yeah, but it is also inherent dry spells, right? Because it used to be even now you get the new campaign, and then let's say you do it once a week, you're gonna make your way through that campaign in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
and then it might be 6 more months before you get anything new. Where it used to be, campaign box comes out, you get a session, a couple sessions, and then once a month you get a session. If a new thing comes out, it's hey, let's get together and play. So it kind of draws out the engagement. Whereas now we can start playing and even if it takes us time, get through it a lot faster.
Right. There's definitely going to be a dearth of engagement with Arkham.
Yeah, it would almost be if Netflix had a show and they were we're going to release 1 episode a day. There are people that would just watch it once a day.
Right.
And which is going to hit different than once a month.
Yeah.
If there was a show that was an episode once a month, that's way less.
Yeah.
And you can't, you can only go so fast, and it gives people time to keep up and catch up and stuff. Yeah. So, anyways.
Yes, that's true.
That's all I got on Arkham. Nice. Ashes, hit me with it.
Hold on. Let me get a thing. And one quick thing on the Arkham stuff is
Dysphoria's coming.
I know, I already pulled it up. It's so funny. But maybe you play it for a month and you're done, and you have to wait a year, and that's okay. Yeah. Maybe we're in the that's okay phase of life.
The only, as a publisher, the concern with that would be
drop off.
You just don't ever come back.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to just disappear.
Yeah.
But, is it healthier? Probably.
It's me, Jonathan Obsidian. I'm his brother. I'm the thicker version of the two. I got the thick genes.
Is there a big differential between your guys' sizes? In my brain, it's not.
There is.
I don't know. Anyways, Ashes Reborn. Just a quick note on this one. Last week we launched a limited time playmat pre-order. So this is by limited time I mean like 2 months. So February, it's like early February. 7 different playmats, 1 for each school of magic. If you want to pre-order those, you can. You can't order anything else with them. I recommend ordering all the ones you're going to want in a single order.
Okay.
Free shipping and 4 mats.
Yeah.
And we'll be keeping those up for a couple months. And then once that's done, we'll close off the pre-order window, print the mats, ship them out to everybody, and then no plans to make those particular mats available again. So if you want them,
get them.
Check them out on the website.
They're on our website. Yeah, there you go. The website.
Steven's got some fun idea for a elimination tournament with mats and stuff. So
with mats, but I don't know anything.
We'll see what he cooks up when he gets back.
Any news on Blight? Do we know anything about that? We don't know anything about that. When it's going to ship or anything like that.
Oh no. You will. We'll charge when it's time.
We don't know. If we did, we would tell you.
Yeah. That's another issue with the industry. But also, like working with publishers hand in hand, logistics is like weirdly to print physical products and ship them all over the world is like weirdly challenging.
Logistics is bonkers.
Yeah. So we'll definitely keep everyone posted, and we'll charge and get those out the door as soon as we can once those are available.
I mean, to be fair, logistics is a miracle, but it is a miracle held together with duct tape, baling wire.
Yeah.
Because like getting a thing from this guy in China, a guy or, a shop to 1 million people or, 1,000 shops across the entire world.
Yeah. Tim asking if it'll be before the end of the year. So the thing about that is I have no idea, and we won't know because these things go on a boat, and when they get off the boat at the dock and when they go from the dock to the shipping logistics people and when they get to us, all question marks. So honestly, not sure.
Brad, if only there was a way to produce stuff close to the place it needs to be. I hope Earthborne wins. I do too. I like it.
Yeah.
Big fan of local production.
Next up, Fab.
Dang, we were one away from being Earthborne.
Yeah, you almost segued straight into it. We could have delivered on that.
If we,
alphabetically, Earthborne is before Fab.
That's some season 2 stuff right
there. Apparently, Ira for Blitz has Living Legend.
That's what the blog said.
She has. She's been a Blitz staple from the very beginning because the intro decks for Fab were Ira, and
the intro like free decks, right?
Yeah,
that was a cool thing.
Yeah, there's kind of like the learning hero for all of us. So it's cool to see. I think the changes they made to the Living Legend formats. So basically, doing a weekly check for points, and heroes can gain points all the time. So you kind of in the next year, they're planning on introducing more heroes than they've ever introduced in a single year.
Ooh.
And also, they've upped the points that heroes get, so you should have more going away, which I think is very clever. We've seen it already playing out at the second half of this year. We had one hero that lasted a little too long this year, Lexi, which I think is partially why they're making these tweaks. One thing I love about Legend Story, they're constantly tweaking the engine, trying to get better.
Tight.
So
can't fault them for that.
Ira's out of here. We've seen some new expansion cards, including the new Luminaris, and it feels like the expansion slots we've seen so far are what the expansion slot needs to be.
See, that's that tweaking you're talking about.
For it to work. Yeah, they
introduced
it last
set. They tried it.
There were some, interesting.
Playtime TCG says Ira is a large part of the reason that Blitz exists. Which I don't know about Blitz, no one way or the other, but that's a cool story, it sounds like to me. Also, friend Alex Becker, friend of the show, can confirm been working 9 hours now with no end in sight, logistics in December.
So he's our resident postman.
Yeah, it's crazy. Man, this is a tangent I shouldn't go on, but Chewy, man, I'm sorry all postal characters for having to now deliver the world's dog food. That is heavy. Like, sometimes I have to pick up a box, for a neighbor or something. It's like, you guys are doing this how many times for how many people up how many flights of stairs in, like, an apartment complex?
Yeah.
Forget about it, man. I would strike on that one. That's no more dog food.
Man, it's not that job's tough.
Yeah.
Especially, like, it's getting cold outside.
Yeah.
I do not envy.
And they make it happen. That's what I mean. It really is a miracle. And we complain about it, but it's like that.
Us getting the product is a miracle. And then getting to people always blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like the number of packages getting sent out that actually get where they're going routinely.
Crazy.
Within like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
Humans are
it's crazy,
continually fascinating and
we should
terrifying.
all be staring in awe at people like Alex Becker.
That's right.
Earthborne. Is that right? Did we do the expansion slot and Ira?
We did.
And there's nothing else going for Fab. Fab's going into everyone's kind of going into the holidays. Everyone's kind of chilling out whenever I was making a list for the show.
They keep rolling big events, right? I mean, it's one of the cool things. There was a Battle Hardens this weekend, which heroes earn points for. And normally it would have been like, points don't really matter for 2 more months when the next check is happening. Now it's every Monday. So it adds weight every weekend. Once a hero starts getting close, it's like everyone's watching.
That's cool, man. I really do love that. I really love that system.
Earthborne.
Let's get it up there.
You said you played this weekend. Still fun.
I did, Silva. So it's hard to talk about Earthborne with people because like you don't want to spoil anything.
Yep. That's the cooperative problem every time.
But there's Caesar, we talked about Star Wars off the top for
scroll back
about an hour and a half.
A while ago.
Yeah. It's all there. There's this ranger card called See-Through Cycles, which is basically you can change a card that's on the table into another card. Short version of the story. And then there's a guy that like the first part you read about him says like you instinctively duck as a shadow flies over your head, and so that Iryx, which is the bird, that terrible bird from the mountains that you get in Earthborne, was on the table, and then my friend who's the shaper changed him into this guy that's the first line whenever we're reading his story. It's like a shadow appears overhead and you singly duck. It wasn't Iryx, but it turned into this guy. It's just like, oh,
love it.
Yeah, I really don't like the term emergent storytelling, but that's not emergent storytelling. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's a topic.
We had lots of fun. It was great. So that's great. Also, we're working on our how to play video. I just talked to Andrew this morning about some stuff that we're going to do.
Official produced video.
The number one thing that I'm trying to do is to be able to say at the top of this video, there are no spoilers here. Where you can just watch this. You don't have to worry about it. We're only going to be using the first location and the first environment that you will see when you first set up the game, and there's nothing else. And so we're going to stay in this little pin so you don't have to worry about it. So that is my hope. And we're also starting kind of from a more ground up, like this is the thing you need to know, the engine. This is how the engine of Earthborne Rangers works, because I think they have a pretty great how to play on their site already, but it's very top down. Like, here's the world of Earthborne, here's your ranger, here's what the board looks like, and it's not really till the end that you really get to understand the engine. So for people who are more engine based, we should have that kind of thing. Like, once you know this, you can play 90% of Earthborne. Once you make it to the end, you'll be able to fill in the last 10%, and then the rest of the thing should write itself.
Perfect.
That's the hope.
Yeah. So that'll be coming. And other news, fulfillment of pre-orders is ongoing. The ops team is getting very close to catching that tiger by the tail, as it were. And fortunately, more pre-orders keep coming in. So it's like a revolving door of, you put a bunch of Earthborne pre-orders out the door, and then more show up.
I think I'm getting some from my in-laws. I think I'm gonna get a box from my in-laws.
Nice.
Yeah, they're D&D people, but I was like, I just, when you get into a game, you just want to give it to whoever even tangentially might be interested in it.
It's one of the beautiful things about tabletop.
Yeah,
is like you get into something that you can physically give to other people. Yeah. So for a long time, the products coming out were such that there weren't a lot that I wanted to physically give. Like, I was into it, but it's like, no, these other people aren't going to be into it. But it's cool. I feel like Earthborne really is opening the doors wide on cooperative, expandable card games and who might be interested in it, right? Yeah. Like, there's a lot of people that I would not want to play Arkham Horror.
Yeah.
And I love Arkham Horror is one of the greatest games of all time, honestly.
Yep.
So that's just really awesome to see.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things that they did was where they talk about you can just bring in and out rangers as you please. So, like, I've got my ranger that is on Steven and I's main one, and then, like, he goes on a little side quest with these new people that he's sort of helping deliver biscuits from time to time.
It's always the biscuits. I feel like when people are talking about Earthborne, it's like, all right, you ready to go deliver some biscuits?
Yeah,
for sure.
I had a metaphor, or a simile, but it would not land.
Yeah. Next is sorcery.
We're almost
there. So We still have all the beta products in stock. This is the Precon, the Booster Box, and the Playmat, all at MSRP. And if you haven't checked out Sorcery yet, that starter is one of the greatest starters I've ever seen. And Jonathan has a note that it's still fun. You mentioned it earlier. Fun. You taught some people this weekend.
Yeah, that's. I think the thing that I was going to bring in is that I was very, very surprised by my friend. I said this on the top of the show, but that my friend who had really no experience in tabletop games was able to pick it up. He just knew chess and how to read, and he watched the first game, and I explained some stuff, but it was not the kind of like hard sort of friction that you have getting people over the hump on a lot of games. May have been just him, but I was like, oh, that's the thing. He said something, so I was telling him about it last night, and he was like, there are other avatars. I was like, oh yeah, there are other avatars.
Oh,
so
you just wait.
Tell him about the Pathfinder, and his eyes got big, and so I explained what it does, and he said this. He said, I love how literal this game is, which I think is exactly what they're talking about when they talk about like art first, art forward kind of stuff, where it's like if it says Pathfinder, it's going to find paths.
Yeah.
Like if it's a frog, it's going to eat somebody when it comes in.
Yeah.
If it's a pixie, it's going to be a little pixie.
I mean, the silver rule basically is like it works how you think it should.
Yeah.
And be cool.
Yeah.
About it. Since the conversation with Eric in that 12-hour stream, it's been really sinking into me how amazing, exactly what you're saying, which is most cards in that game have a cost, a power, which is your attack and your health, and a line of text.
Yep.
Like not like just a text box, but like a line.
Yeah.
They might have some keywords, but it's literally like the East-West Dragon comes to mind. It's like moves freely left to right.
Yep.
It's like, well, how do you think that works? This dragon that says East-West Dragon is like really long. It's like, oh, he can like literally go any direction as much as he wants these directions for free. But yeah, and all those things work how you expect them to most of the time. There's nuance. There's some complicated things in that game. And then also the way the game system works, you just going from nothing to one resource to two to three.
Right.
And the board builds. And so you have time to appreciate like what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's not these interestingly, Fab is kind of the appeal is the opposite. You start with everything in play. And it gets simpler and weaker as you go.
Right.
Which was one of the more fascinating reasons that game was cool. But also like going back to some of these games like alphaclash that go from nothing to build is kind of a benefit of that system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marvel Champions, already talked about it. No real news. I liked Loki season 2. That was fun.
You had that note in our
it was good, man. I liked it.
It's like I thought you were gonna have something profound about it, like the nature of human suffering or something.
I mean, have you seen it?
No, I heard season 1 play on the TV as my wife was watching it, but I haven't seen it. Other than it's like, oh yeah, that's Loki. But it's good.
Yeah, I liked it. Right. Miscellaneous.
Yeah, okay, so I added this in. So I noticed there's a game design channel in our Discord. I didn't notice that. I've known that for a while.
I was going to say.
But there's been some conversation.
Really have been
there
busy.
is a game design contest going on, which I was going to look into before coming on the screen here. I didn't end up having time, other than just to say, like, seems very cool.
What do you get if you win?
Recognition, probably.
$1 bazillion?
I think it's just like one of these things where like people who are interested in honing their ability to design games or have it as like a fun, because I'm on that side of things. Like I played the map editor in Tony Hawk more than I played the actual Tony Hawk game, and so for people who are such inclined, this looks like it's very cool. So come to our Discord, go to the game design section, and check out what they have to say. If you're even somewhat interested, it may not end up being for you, but I think it's worth taking a look at.
Yeah, and if you're not on the Discord and you're interested if you're at this point in the stream, I don't know why you're not. You really should be.
It's easy. Just on their website, you'll find it. It's at least it's down at the bottom. It says Discord.
Easiest way to find it: place an order. At the confirmation screen, you got a little join Discord button. That's the best way to do it. No, but there's actually a link in the footer as well, et cetera, et cetera. All right, you ready to play some alphaclash?
Let's play some alphaclash.
We finally arrived.
We did it. Not bad time either. About right.
Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have again. This first season is like the beta season.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like the unlimited topic was large.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
We wanted to be able. I think it's one of those things like we want to be able to say it right, and to be able to say it right is to be able to say it long.
I could also tweet it. We're not doing it.
Yeah,
done.
But like
ship it. TLDR.
That's not the same. We're not about that. That's not the.
That's not why you watch a 4-hour live stream.
That's not why people hear it, man. I'm telling you, we've gone round and round about like how do we make our stuff, and Steven's talked about this, so I feel completely confident talking about it. Is like how can we make our stuff, reach more people and get higher views and that kind of thing. And eventually, you just have to stop and be like, the people that want this is who it's for. We're not gonna like chase the trending topics on YouTube to try to get this many more K whatever. Yeah. This is for people who want to sit back and hear some people talk about some stuff or come and join the chat or be part of a community and not necessarily just see us for 5 seconds and scroll on to the next thing.
It's obviously for people that are literally here right now.
Yeah.
If you made it here, it's amazing.
And
I'm glad that you're here.
And again, I really think that it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. I think that we're kind of realizing that this is just what we want to be and who we are, and there's no reason to mess with it.
You can't deny the truth of who you are.
No. Anything else would be inauthentic. That's right, Tim. All 142 of us. 142 strong.
It's honestly.
If I had 142 people listening to me, like if I could look out and see 142 people like listening to the words that I'm saying, I would be staggered.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I've had to, against my will, speak publicly and not on stream, but publicly in front of a lot of people. And one of the things, so like my fab testing team is a wolf pack, and we have 20 active people on that team. And I always talk about how like when we're getting together physically at these events, like go to dinner or something, it's like unruly because there's so many people. And you look at a number like 142, and obviously this is not the largest stream on YouTube by a lot. But really, though, the fact that there's 142 people from all over the world, if they were all in the room right here and we were talking to them, it would be. I remember a Fuse Fest was like 90-something players, and crazy. It was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
So it's a privilege and honor to be here, really, and to have you guys giving us your time and being a part of this is really crazy.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. On that note, let's beat each other up.
Let's do it.
All right. So if you're unfamiliar, alphaclash, publisher, Rising Studio. Rising Empire Studio. I got that. Let me get the Studios. There it is. I was like, there's something missing here. Rising Empire. They released this last year. They did a Kickstarter for it late 2022. Fulfilled that Kickstarter in record time. I believe that started shipping like April, May 2022. Then the official first set came out. This is the second set.
They did a great job filling that Kickstarter. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, it's like we said, logistics is crazy. Second set came out, and they recently announced big organized play efforts, which we talked about last week. And second set looks fantastic. One of the key things is there's 4 harbingers, which are kind of like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, kind of. And I built decks for Jonathan and I to play. I'm really excited about, this is a funny sentence, Death. I'm excited about Death. She looks awesome. And Jonathan was excited about War. Steven's excited about Pestilence. Figures. So John and I are going to be playing Death versus War. John is newer to the game. So,
definitely.
He's here for you to learn.
Let me be your avatar.
Now, important to note, I got these deck lists from Ridge.
Oh.
Who is the big cheese over at Rising Empire. And I'm excited to play them. But if they're great, all credit goes to him. And if they're awful, all uncredit goes to our lack of skill.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to do my best to pop up the cards that matter.
Dude, Professor Chaz.
It's going to be difficult.
Saying, shout it out, folks. Where's everybody from today? I'm checking in from Atlantic, Canada. I used to do that in our streams during the pandemic, which was fun. It's crazy. It'll blow your mind where all people are watching from today.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Especially on just like a Monday afternoon. A lot of people have to work,
I know.
Crazy.
I like our UK friends. Big fan of that.
Yeah, now it makes sense for them because it's like, what, 10:30 p.m. there?
Yeah.
We stream at the perfect time for the Europeans.
That's right.
Mads, Denmark, yeah. Costa Rica.
Denmark. I think
Andy
like
Navarro, Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I've heard good things about Denmark and Sweden. And,
yeah. I love saunas, so one step there.
Saunas?
Yeah. Aren't they a big sauna culture?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, man.
I was confused.
Yeah, it's even in Frozen, so it's got to be right.
Yeah. Derek asking, is alphaclash coming to TCG Player for singles? I have no idea. That's a Ridge question. Maybe he's out there in the chat and he'll tell you. Ridge, you here? Josh, you here?
Ridge.
Garrett, you here?
Hey, we got a lot of folks from Denmark. I mean, a lot is 2, but that's 2 more than I expected. Hey, Honolulu. Yes, my aunt lives in Maui on the Hana side. God bless Maui. Got wrecked by wildfires.
Yeah, they're having a time. I've seen some of that coverage.
I've been to Lahaina more times than 3. I've been under the banyan tree. I think they got it to live.
I really want to go to Hawaii,
off into the distance.
but it has not been a good time for them to visit. I saw things that were like, please don't visit.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is kind of a problem. John just died off camera. Bobby, new clash cards are great. When is the Tulsa Throwdown occurring in 2024 for alphaclash? You never know. We might be hosting something. We might not. Garrett is here. I saw someone. I don't know if there's any truth to this. Jordy saying coming to TCG Player Q1 2024. And I do think access to singles for collectible games is like a really big part of it.
Agree.
So I get that that's been tough. But all right, you ready to do this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Put me in, coach.
Here's your deck.
Okay.
You're playing War. You want to read? Can you pull that guy on the screen and read him to me?
I sure can. Look at that.
I'm
gonna make it happen.
He's a new sleeve too. And they're Dragon Shield, so they'll slide all the way to Tennessee. If you're not careful, I'm just saying this.
There he is.
And can you give me the top down so I can see?
Sure can. Got shot.
Wow, that's so much table.
Yeah, we can zoom in.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's up to you.
We'll zoom in.
That's crazy.
Oh, no, I touched it.
Oh no, man. If you think logistics is crazy, live streams are the real miracle.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm just gonna put this here. Okay, so you have War showing there. What does War do?
War. When he's at full health, clash cards you control get trigger attack. If this is the second attack, you declare this turn, draw 1 card.
Okay. Important to note, top right is the 30. That's his life total.
Mm-hmm.
If I get that to 0, I win.
Okay.
Bottom left are his stats: 1 attack, 0 defense.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's clashing with something, he'll deal 1 damage and he doesn't block any damage happening to him.
Okay.
The ability you just read has a 30 next to it, which means it's active as long as you have that much health or less. So you do from the start. So you start with that ability. Then the other one comes online when you hit 10 health or less.
Okay.
And what does the other one do?
When I'm less, 10 health or less, clash tokens you control, which he's a token making guy. I like making the tokens.
I'll have to grab some of those.
+1, +0, and breakthrough. Breakthrough is any extra damage goes to the contender.
That's right. So they gain attack and they gain breakthrough, which can be very good. Meanwhile, you're right.
Why am I saying enough? Oh, yeah. I was going to get this. You can go ahead and, let me pull death up.
Pull death. Drake, you asked about War, but not what is it good for. Exceptional restraint. It was tough. I wanted to.
There we go.
All right, this is Death, Chaos Bringer. 30 health, 1 attack, 0 defense, just like War. The ability I start with is when a Death Clash card, so Death on the title, you control is defeated or sent to oblivion. You may engage this card, so tap. If you do draw a card, then up to 1 target Clash card you control gets +1 attack, +1 defense till the end of turn. So I'm looking to have Death cards die so that I can get a benefit. Yeah, it is thematically in line.
Do you have a little cube of dice anywhere? I thought I had one.
Oh boy.
I was looking for it.
Oh,
here it is.
Yeah, I was like, Steven's got the dice. So this is your deck. I'm just shuffling mine up. Okay. I'm gonna start with a good old Matt Phillips consistently random pile shuffle. Which is I'll do 3 stacks and we'll go basically top of deck, bottom of deck.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And then I'll
there he is.
pile all those together and shuffle them.
There's my boy right there. Okay. Yeah, we didn't. Let's see.
Why is it you think you like War?
I like tokens. I like making the tokens.
I like the tokens.
I'm a token making guy. So, okay, I need to figure out my life. How are we going to set this up? We don't have a grid pattern right now.
Here's a contender.
Okay.
The way you'll want to set it up is you'll put your contender here.
Okay.
On screen.
On the screen, yeah.
And then basically, there can only be 1 clash card in play at a time.
Okay.
So if you play a location, basically, my location would go right next to you, like in front of your contender. Mm-hmm. Yours would go over here, but there can only be 1 in play.
Okay.
So if you play 1, mine will go away, etc. Okay. And then I'll explain this.
Yeah, we're going to be playing a little bit high, but that's okay. I'm going to be playing like on this part of the table.
So basically, you look at it like this. So war goes here-ish, right?
Okay.
You're playing this way.
Yep.
This is your front row.
That tracks.
So you can start by playing guys next to your.
Nice. What's this?
That is your sideboard, which we won't use for now because we don't understand how to do that. So in alphaclash, you get a 50 card deck with a 10 card sideboard. Interestingly, nothing in your deck is actually tied to your contender, really.
Okay.
So like even though your contender is red, war.
What's this?
That's the other half of your deck. I had two piles because it was sliding.
Oh,
out.
okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Just get it real nice. You want to mix those together.
Okay. I'm with you now.
So even though your contender is red, it doesn't mean any red cards have to be in your deck.
Okay. Because it's all about the resources.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because any card can be played as a resource, which will go in your back row, and it provides resource colors that are the color of the card, basically.
Okay.
So we'll get into all that. Yep. Now, important to note, your deck is mono red, which means you
I don't
only have
worry
red
about
cards.
that. Great.
But technically, I see war. I have an idea of your strategy, but it's not like Fab, where like if I see you're on a warrior, I know what the warrior cards do. You could still have any card in the game in your deck.
Because I got the...
Yeah, so a sideboard is interesting, and it lets you have specific answers to specific things, etc. But they don't always have to be in your deck, basically.
Yeah. Good. It's all coming together.
Shochi. Consistent randomization, the greatest card game skill. Yeah, he's like, I want the cards to be random, but it was in Thrones. It's like, but I want like to see like a character and then a location, but the character can be random, but I want that order. It's like that's not random.
That's not random, my man.
What do you mean? It's like it's just not random. I don't know how to explain this to you other than exactly what I'm saying. All right, let's position this guy. I'll set him up.
Here we go.
Right there.
Yeah.
And this will be the other piece. Cool. Kind of border. So we basically have 3 rows. Front row is contender, clash cards, and then your clash ground. That's where your location would go. Second row is traps, accessories. So technically accessories come into play here, and then they'll have an attach cost, which then can attach to a character. Cool thing about accessories is if your character with it dies, it goes back to your zone. It doesn't leave play.
Does it get played out? Can I play it onto a character or play it into the zone and attach it to the character?
You have to play it to the zone.
Because it has an attach cost.
Then you have to pay the attach cost to attach it, unless the card says otherwise. Then your back row is your resource row, where you'll put cards that you can, engage to provide you resources later. Also notably, on a card, let's pull up Deliverance, just for reference. As you might expect, the number in the top right is the cost, so that's 3. And there's 2 little white diamonds below that. So that's basically the threshold, which is to say 2 of the 3 resources I use have to be white to play that card. And if this card were down here as a resource, it'd provide 1 white resource when I'm tapping it. Cool. And if you happen to have a card that has 2 colors on it, when you tap it, you decide what it's providing. It's not both.
Nice. Fair enough. That all checks out.
All right.
How many do we draw to start off with?
It is 8, I believe.
8.
I'm going to pull up the rule book because, man, it's so easy to get.
I love, by the way, this is my favorite rule book.
Really?
Absolutely.
It's
number
good.
1 favorite. It's like, here's the card. Here's all the questions you have about the card answered in a bulleted list. Whenever I was making the how to play for it, it was just like, take this line from the bulleted list.
They definitely had a really good, they have a page for each card type, and then a list of all the factors that you might be considering about.
I am blown away by it.
Okay, start a game procedure. Let's walk it down. Each player reveals their contender. I'm deaf. Players randomly determine who goes first. I'll go first.
Okay, sounds good.
Each player shuffles their main deck and draws 8.
Done. Draw 8. Okay, we've got a big 8 here. Play the sorcery when you get 3.
So then technically your deck goes in the second row on the opposite side of your contender.
Just right here. This will help me.
Yep.
Look at that. It's all coming together.
All right. Then each player may shuffle any number of cards back into their deck and draw back up to 8 cards. So just some basic things. There's a concept called being on curve. In most games. So you're going to have the opportunity to play 1 resource turn. So you go 1 resource, 2 resource, 3 resource, a lot like spoils. So a lot of times what you want is a card that you play at 2 resources, a card that you play at 3 resources, a card that you play at 4, a card that you play at 5, a card that you play at 6. And then if you have multiples, and the reason this is the case is I have these 2 5-cost cards. So if I get to 5 and play the 5 cost, I can't play the second one.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to play the 6 cost at 6, I also can't play it here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not an opportunity for me to play the second 5 until like turn 7.
I see.
And I'll draw a bunch more cards since then. So a lot of times I'll literally pick my favorite from each number,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll shuffle the rest in and hope to get. Because realistically, too, those cards are likely to become resources.
Yeah.
The other things you draw.
Yeah.
So you either draw a better thing at that same cost, or you'll draw something you'll put down as a resource anyway.
Yeah. And we're looking for bodies as well.
Yep.
Don't want to get too far
And of
behind
course,
on that.
when you actually know what you're doing, then you would like I might see a card like Bone Armor might be a clutch card for this deck. I don't know. I kept it, but like it could be the whole point of this deck, which we'll learn in time.
Okay. I'm learning that I didn't shuffle this very well.
Now, one thing you do know from seeing my, it's helpful in your things here, which my deck needs to go.
Nice.
One thing that is helpful or known when you see a contender, and this was a comment coming from Drake, I do know the possible clash buffs you could have because they will be restricted by icon typing and or color. But technically, you could have any, like it, just because you have a red contender doesn't mean you have a bunch of red cards in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhat likely because the clash buffs are going to be restricted to red that he can play. But it's not completely necessary.
I'm going to do a little quick shuffle here because I got some doubles. That's okay. No problem. So you redrew your whole hand there?
No, I kept 4. I kept the 2, 3, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And then, wildly, I drew all 2 costs.
Wow.
So that'll be interesting.
That'll be fine.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, I think my stuff is a little bit on the high cost, so... aim for low cost and draw your upper curve. Oh no, I did the exact opposite, Drake. It's all over for me. Yeah, what is the point of my deck? Did Richardson have like a lengthy explanation?
No, not at all.
All right,
but you know,
learn.
So fundamentally, War, the second time a clash card attacks, like second clash attack, you get a card. So that's what that does.
Oh, cool.
So you essentially want to have a lot of things out so you can attack at least twice a turn.
Okay. Makes sense.
And you'll get card advantage. Mine, I draw a card when a death card leaves play.
Okay.
Basically. So I need to get death cards in play and basically have them die in some way.
Well, if that's the case, then I might...
Remulligan?
Yeah, well, I haven't drawn up, so, you know, technically. I'll do this.
Oh, I was cheating against Steven last week. Don't tell Steven. I just read the text on Bone Armor. It says, whenever you attach this weapon to a... Is that your chair?
Yeah, my chair's like a bird now.
Whenever you attach this weapon to a clash card you control, send another target clash card you control to oblivion.
Oh, so you weren't doing that.
Nope. I don't think. I had a bunch of those war tokens, so maybe I was, but I don't think so.
I don't think you were either.
So there'd be a lot of death going on.
Yeah, I guess that's the point, isn't it?
That is the point, my man. My man.
Hopefully this helps me remember not to keep a card on the screen for too long. All right, so I kept 3. Did I really keep 3? Yeah, I kept 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom.
All right, can you hand me 6 dice? I'm going to get my health going. You already knew.
I already know what it is.
What's that from?
I don't remember.
I say it all the time. And I asked my wife the other day, and she was like, I have no idea what it's from. You just say it. It's from you. It's like, wait a second.
It's your thing.
I know that it's not from me.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
It's from him. This is from him.
Okay, so, that's
Okay.
cool. How often do we get to, like, let's say 7 mana in this game?
Most time.
Most time?
Yep.
Should I hold this the whole time, though?
That is the decision,
That's the
Johnny
question,
boy.
isn't it?
All right. Starting health listed. Done. Player begins with the expansion phase. First player skips the ready and draw phase. So normally, start of my turn, ready all my cards and draw a card. I'm the first player, so I don't get to do that.
Okay.
So I will, however, get to do all the normal stuff. So I skip that. Then I get the resource step. I can put any card from my hand into my resource zone. So I put them in the back row behind my deck. And I do them upside down. And this is so I can see the resource color, and so they don't get mixed up with cards that I can actually use.
Okay.
So I'm going to play this. It doesn't really matter. It's a black card down. I don't have any 1 cost in my hand, so I'm going to pass to you.
So you're passing to me.
So you start the turn, you draw 1 card.
Okay, draw 1 card.
Yep. So you draw. You would ready everything, and then you can put any card in your hand down as a resource.
I swear I'm shuffling this deck, man. I really am.
Sita saying you already know who it is from Silento's Whip.
I'll have to look that one up later. Okay, well, this is a weird hand. But at least I know that I can put this war zone down as a resource.
Yep.
And that's my 1
so
resource.
So row 1, we'll slide your deck back a little bit, row 2, and then you've got your row 3 behind that.
Okay. And then I don't have any 1 cost. So do I draw at the beginning? Did I already do that? Yeah, I already did that.
You should have 8 cards in your hand.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
Oh, you know what? Let me get you some war token mana.
I could technically attack, and we would both just take 1, just like for a fun thing to do.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Some people would want to do that.
Yeah, but if I could attack twice, it'd be way better.
Your ability, though, is clash cards have to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And your contender is not
it's not a clash card. I see.
But
what if I attack with my contender and then attack with a clash card?
How does it read?
Well, Zach, it reads.
clash cards you control get trigger attack. If this is the second attack you have declared this turn, draw 1 card.
Yeah, so you attack with your contender first, and then a clash card. You get to draw.
Bada bing.
Here's some war tokens you're probably going to need.
Thank you.
This is the portal. It starts closed. I'm going to put it over here, actually.
Yep.
So either of us can spend 2 resources on our turn to activate it, to open it, or close it. And it will sit over there.
Nice. How strange. Okay.
Over to me.
Over to you.
Let's draw. Let's play. I guess we'll play here. Then let's read my cards.
So I could pay 1 to flip the portal? Could I do that with my 1 that I had open? Or is it 2? How much do you do?
2. 2. Cost
2? Goodness gracious. 2 resources.
That seems good. Okay, I'm going to pay 2 for bone armor. This is an accessory.
Oh, hey, this is the thing that won you the game last time.
It'll go into my accessory zone. And it costs 2 black resources to attach it to something. It can only be attached to something with death in the title.
Okay.
Whatever it's attached to gains flight, which means it can only be blocked by flyers, and necrotic, which means if it damages something, that other thing dies.
Right.
And then when I attach it, I have to send something I control to oblivion.
Okay.
They have to go die.
Do you if you have something, or is it part of the cost, or is it part of the result?
It's whenever I do attach it, I have to do it.
Okay.
So the cost is 2 black resources, and then whenever it is I attach it to something, one of my clash cards has to go to oblivion.
Okay. What if you didn't have enough clash cards to do that?
Then I couldn't do it.
Okay.
But
cool.
it would. If I only have one thing out, I would attach to it, and that thing would have to go.
Oh, that's fine.
So
all
just
right. Okay.
die.
Cool. We like that.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Because it's death.
I need the bones for my armor to work,
I
you know?
I gotcha.
Then I'll pass.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Okay. I see this.
Jordy, playing bone armor on curve. Tobeezy would be proud.
I'll put this down as my other one. It's very shiny, but I'm not gonna play it. This
It's very shiny.
2 things.
We like the shine.
So I could do that. A lot of thinking here, isn't there?
Decisions.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's not complicated, but there are a lot of choices you're making, which is a good sign.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't have anybody up, so I could go.
Important note.
We can put
Clash
it in
cards
attack.
don't have summoning sickness.
Yeah.
So if you have a 2 cost or a
It's
1
take me a
cost,
while to get my head around that.
you can drop it right now and send it.
Yep. Drop it and send
Like
it.
what would be really good is you attack here, and you can do it in any order.
Yeah.
So you played your resource, but now you're open. So you could attack me for 1, we both take 1.
Yeah.
Then if you can play something and attack, you would also get to draw a card.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
think
so efficient.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Did I draw a card this time? How much should I have?
So you start with 8.
4, 5, 6, 7.
You should have drawn 2, which is 10.
4, 5, 6, 7.
If 7 plus 2 is 9, you're short a card.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys watch me on this. I get too excited about my my thing.
Dude, I haven't even seen this card.
Okay, cool. Well, that's better. Oh man, that's really good. Okay. Here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay 2 resources to flip the portal.
Okay. He's opened the portal.
Open. The portal is now open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over to me?
Yeah.
I know. There's reasons you want that portal open.
No way. I just like it's pretty.
We'll draw a card. Perfect.
No, I don't like it when you say perfect. You just say, darn, that's not the card I wanted.
It's certainly the card I wanted. It's like exactly the card I wanted. We'll put a resource down.
Okay.
Looks like I'm playing mono black over here. I'm not. I just don't have enough white cards in my hand.
I'm ready.
I'm going to play Death the Relentless for 3. I love Death. It feels weird to say that every time. But man, I have nothing against the set 1 characters. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Magnate, pretty cool. But I like these Harbingers like so much.
Yeah. Trigger defeat. Search your deck for a card with the same name as this card. Put that card into your hand. Gross. You may reduce the cost to play this card by, for each Death or Relentless in your Oblivion. Oh, that's cool.
So for each one of these that
it's
dies.
relentless, right? Okay.
Yeah. And every time you one of these dies, then...
Yeah. How many copies of this can you have in your deck?
4.
Whew. So that's problematic.
Yeah, and when a Death Clash card is defeated, I can activate here to draw a card and give something +1/+1. So you can see what starts to happen here. Meanwhile, I will go ahead. How risky do I feel?
How risky do you
Because I can attack you for 2. I take no damage, you take 2, everyone's happy. But then I don't have any blockers.
Yeah.
But you're only on 3 resources.
I'm only on 3 resources. I got nothing.
You did want that portal open.
No, there's no reason I want that portal open. It was just...
I'll attack you for 2. I'll attack you for 2.
Okay. 2?
Yeah, so to walk this down, I can always attack your contender.
Right.
I can also attack any exhausted or engaged clash card that you have.
Yeah.
So not attacking with something means your opponent can't just attack it unless you have the keyword that lets you do so. So I'm attacking you. I've got 2 attack and 3 defense. You've got 1 attack and 0 defense. So my 2 to your 0 defense, you take 2.
Okay.
Your 1 to my 3 defense.
Doesn't do anything.
I take a damage, but damage is reset at I think it's the start of every clash.
Yeah.
So you can't even attack
start
it.
of every clash.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
are you sure about that? You double dog sure about that? That I can't just whittle you down?
Let me
Or can I attack with 2 things at once?
You can't.
Can't.
You can block with 2 things at once. So let me run it
down
down for you. Let me run it down for you.
Yeah.
All right. This is breaking down the clash phase. C1, clash 1, attack step. Attacking player chooses 1 contender or clash card they control and engages it to declare an attack targeted at an opponent's contender or an opponent's engaged clash card.
Right.
Engaging a contender or clash card when it's declared as an attacker isn't a cost. Attacking simply causes attackers to become engaged.
Okay.
Then the attacking player resolves any trigger attack effects, so anything that says, like your ability that you add here, of the attacker. Once those effects have resolved, priority passes to the defending player's counter step. So counter step is step 2. The defending player may play/activate any number of quick actions, traps, or card effects with the counter attack trigger, 1 at a time. When all the defending players' desired effects have resolved, they move to the obstruct step. C3, obstruct step. The defending player may obstruct with 1 or more of their ready clash cards. You obstruct by engaging 1 or more clash cards you control. When obstructors are declared, the attacking contender or clash card is now attacking the obstructors, not the original target of the attack. Following along? Step 4, attacker's clash buff step. The attacking player may play 1 clash buff action. That clash buff does not need to target the attacking contender or clash card. So 1 buff. Then the defender gets to play a clash buff. Same thing. Notable, if I pass and you buff, I can't buff on top as the attacker. It's not a pass until both people pass situation. Then the damage step.
Right.
Clash damage is then totaled and dealt simultaneously. All cards involved in the clash will be involved in the clash damage. The total attack power of the attacker is dealt as clash damage to the opposing contender or opposing clash cards, or each clash card that is obstructing the attacker. So you blocked with 5 different things on this.
Right.
All of them would take 2. Yeah. While at the same time, the total attack power of the opposing contender or opposing clash cards is dealt as clash damage to the attacker. So if you block with 5 things, all of them would damage me at once. So a bunch of defenders can team up on a big attacker and get rid of it. Clash damage reduces a contender or clash card's defense power by the same amount. If the damage dealt to a contender reduces its defense power to 0, all excess damage reduces that contender's health by that amount. If the damage dealt to a clash card reduces defense to 0 or less, that clash card is defeated and put into the owner's oblivion after all trigger defeat effects for that card have resolved. Yeah. This is a state-based action. Trigger defeat effects, et cetera, et cetera. Regardless of the amount of damage dealt, the contender will remain in play and its defense power will be reset to its pre-clash amount after the clash.
Okay.
Clash damage. There are 2 types of, this is important, of damage in alphaclash, clash and non-clash damage. If a card refers to just damage, it means clash, either clash or non-clash damage, otherwise the damage will be specified. In a clash, when a clash card or contender deals damage equal to the attack power to another contender or clash card, that damage is considered clash damage. Clash damage reduces defense. If a clash card's defense is reduced to 0, it goes away. After the damage step of a clash, if a damaged clash card is not defeated, all clash damage is removed.
Dang.
And its defense is reset to its pre-clash amount.
Whew.
Yeah, basically, it just stops you from having to track.
Yeah.
From each
across.
instance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well.
That.
Yes.
Well, there was a lot of things I could do, but now there's not a lot of things I can do.
Sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, it is. But
What up, Joe? Yeah, Steven's on vacation. He's doing well.
I guess so it's being my turn, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That seems like the right amount of cards. Do I draw for 9?
So this is your third turn.
Third turn.
You should have 11 total cards between your resources and hand.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? And once you start drawing cards from this, I will no longer be able to answer this.
Yeah.
You should draw a card right now.
Okay, draw a card.
You're like, just tell me, do I draw or not? Do I draw or not?
I need to know. Okay.
DOA asking if non-clash damage is reset. Let me look real quick.
And again, asking for a friend. What is a relic and what does it do?
A relic?
Mm-hmm.
It goes here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Warhorn?
Yes.
The Bardagan?
Bardagan.
It just comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, a relic will just have an effect.
Okay.
Real quick.
Cool.
So this is interesting. I don't know that I've ever had this matter so much, but according to the rules, non-clash damage does not get reset.
Yep, that's right. So like clash damage from this stuff doesn't get reset. That also tracks. Okay, well, what are we going to do here?
Drake, he took the damage from the attack a long time ago. He's just thinking about his life.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about my life.
So your resource is ready.
Yeah, I got to figure out which
Card to put
things
down, yeah.
that I'm going to do. See, now you got to do the things you don't want to do.
You're cool, Joe.
I like this.
Welcome
I like
to the
this.
show.
That's probably really good. I want to keep that, but I want to keep all of these. What do you do whenever that happens?
I think you play a resource. You just have to decide which one you want to keep least. What up, Van? It's going well. Just teaching down the ropes on alphaclash.
This is the hard part.
That's what I'm talking
isn't
about.
it? This is where your brain starts hurting.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do another Clash Ground here.
Okay.
It's a +1. If you weren't Harbingers, then maybe it would be better because it's a +1 for all Harbinger stuff.
Yeah, that can backfire.
Yeah, pay 3 for the horn. And enter a create a token.
What?
Yep.
Let me look at this. At the end of your turn, if the portal's open, which it is, create one more token.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And then we'll attack your contender for 1.
No,
wait. We'll attack your contender for 1.
All right, so we'll each take 1.
Because that's right.
You're doing 1, I'm doing 1.
Okay, and then I'll attack your contender for 1. He'll die. But I get to draw a card.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Now this is pot racing.
This is pod racing. I swear I shuffled this deck, Zach.
Those are still tapped.
Are these okay? Exclusive means I can only have one on the field at the same time. I can't two horn it. Can't double horn.
Can't double fist the horns now. All right, into your turn. Any triggers that happen?
Well, yes, there is. I get this old boy coming on up, and he's another war minion by my Bardagan Warhorn.
Bardoggin.
Bardoggin.
All right.
You've been bardogged.
Bardog. So already.
So
everything.
you can't attack him, but he can defend
That's right.
because he's not tapped.
You got the.
Van, the game is
Minus
going all right. This is I have to do a lot of thinking here. A lot of thinking. Does breakthrough work on defense?
No.
Come on.
Only on offense.
Come on.
All right. I do declare. I guess. I'm going to play another bone armor.
Ugh. Gross.
For 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to play a spatial gateway. You want to show that on the screen?
Yeah, I do want to show that.
Trigger enter, you may activate the portal. I will.
That's not it at all.
Yeah, we'll activate it down to off.
Hey.
Harbinger clash cards with an initial resource cost of 4 or less.
Okay.
So your Harbinger is my Harbinger.
Uh-huh.
Gain, trigger defeat. You may pay 1 resource of any color to return this card to your hand instead of putting it into Oblivion.
Well, that's going to be we're going to really change the game, aren't we?
Yeah. So when something would be defeated, instead of being defeated while
Right.
this is out, you can pay 1 to not have it be defeated.
But
You know what I mean?
you paid all of your stuff already.
I spent all my money, yeah.
Yeah, you
I'm just
sure
setting up, man. Just setting up. And then I will not attack with anything.
Not attack with
I will
anything.
pass to you.
Gonna leave it up.
Yeah, I'd like to have a blocker now that you're actually doing things.
Okay. I'm gonna draw.
That's right. Well, you ready all your stuff?
Well, fine. Ready on my stuff. That's the first step.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, and then draw.
Then draw.
Then draw.
Then you can play a resource.
Then I can play a resource. I'm going to play my Bardagan Warhorn down.
Well, you're welcome here, Daywag. Says, I know nothing about the game. I just like to learn about the games you play on the channel in case my group wants to give them a go.
Love it. Love it.
If you're interested in trying this one, we have a Clash Kit bundle on the site that is great for trying the game.
Okay. So you closed the portal.
I did, yeah.
You feel good about that?
I can't let you keep just, playing that horn
I do. I love playing
and
that
getting your
horn.
free dudes. And this guy's also ready now. I still don't know how to say that. Bardagan. Bardagan.
So, okay. If this happens, then that happens, and that happens, and that happens. And I think this is the right decision.
Jordy's saying, this is why I love alphaclash. You're faced with meaningful decisions at every step of your turn. You play against the player, not the deck.
Yep. I agree. So we've got, let me pull this one up. War Strikebringer for 4. Coming in.
Hot dang.
First line. As it enters, you may activate the portal.
Ah, boo.
Second sentence.
We got portals.
Then create 2 red war minion tokens.
What? I remember doing this to Steven. I had that in my sealed deck.
Nice.
Is that a rare or something?
I don't know. I like it though.
Yes.
Then a trigger attack. If the portal is open, you may engage any number of clash tokens you control. If you do, until the end of the turn, this card gets breakthrough +1/+0. So he's 3/3.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't die from you.
No.
So I can engage all these guys to give him 6 and swing, and he's got breakthrough.
Yeah. Now, you do want to attack
Twice. Yeah.
So you probably send one of these guys
Mm-hmm.
to their doom.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, really, is a card that cool?
But also,
is it cooler than the 6 damage?
Remember, I can only attack your clash cards if
They're down, right?
down. And if you exhaust your whole board,
Right. Then the whole board's down.
then you have no blockers,
Right.
and I can do shenanigans.
But I mean, you're only at 5 resources. What happens at 5 resources?
Nothing good.
Nothing good.
I mean, you saw what your 4 cost did. Perhaps I have a 5 cost that's good.
Well, actually, that's not. No, that's cool. I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this plan. You're gonna just have to.
Wow. This card's so good.
So I could attack here with you, but you would block here. I would take 2. You wouldn't die.
Yeah.
Then I could kill you, but I have breakthrough, which is fine.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that plan. I'm playing fast and loose here.
You're man.
I'm inexperienced.
What's it good for?
I'm going to attack your contender with my contender.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. I will block. Do 2 to you.
So I'll take 2. You'll take
No. That's wrong.
You sure?
We'll both deal each other 1.
Okay.
I'll just allow it.
Okay.
Yeah, because if I'm gonna block anything, I'm gonna block your actual.
Right. So okay, I'm gonna tap these 3 guys, giving him +3 and breakthrough.
Okay.
And then I'm going to attack your contender for 6.
Okay. I will block that.
Okay.
So you will 3 will go here. 3 will.
That's right.
Overpower me. When this is defeated, it triggers. Search my deck for a card with the same name as this card. So Death the Relentless.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Diowag. Diowag's a man who knows the horn. Horn? I don't know.
So this goes to my Oblivion. This goes in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll trigger this. When a death card you control is defeated or sent to Oblivion, you may engage this card. If you do, draw 1 card. Then up to 1 other target clash card I control gets +1 to the end turn, which won't matter.
Okay, won't matter. And then because I attack twice, I get to draw a card.
That's right. You know how it works.
I get it now.
You know what? Yeah. Wow. He doesn't even have to exhaust to do that or engage.
Oh, nice.
Mine is when
Yours
this
is
happens, I
engaged.
have to engage to draw.
Cool. And then at the end of my turn, I'm going to blow that horn for a blocker.
Blow that horn. It's hilarious. I also like your slow. It's like when someone's writing on a lineless piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's like slowly tilting. It's like technically.
I feel like I didn't play a resource that turn, but that's okay.
You did.
Oh,
you're both at 4.
because you're for. Yeah, we're good.
You did it correctly. All right. I'm gonna ready.
Mm-hmm.
Draw. Let's see what we get. Okay. Ooh, that's fun. It's fun indeed.
Nah,
dog.
That ain't fun.
No. All right, let's play another resource.
Okay.
So we're at 5. And you have all red, so it doesn't matter, but I'm grouping mine by color, just for ease. That's white and that's black.
I believe you.
I'm going to spend 5
Gross.
on Death Stalking Spectre.
3/4, huh?
It's got flight,
Okay.
which, just so we are all clear on that keyword is always busted. If I've learned anything.
Yeah. I was explaining to my friends about airborne and sorcery.
I'm trying to find
Using
it.
lots of expletives.
Flight. This card can only be obstructed by clash cards with flight or interception. So you can attack it, but
I can't obstruct
you can't
it.
block
You
it.
can come in hot with 3 here. That's what you're telling me.
3 with 4 life. You know what it is.
Yeah.
So I declare Thumb War. I'm going to, and it says trigger enter. You may send target clash card with an attack power of 3 or less to Oblivion.
What?
So I'm going to send that to Oblivion.
Oblivion, but I could pay 1 to get it back. Where's my Oblivion? Down here?
Under your deck. Okay. Yeah. Whenever a clash card is sent to Oblivion from the clash zone, just was, this card gets +1/+1 till the end of turn.
Gross.
This effect only triggers once per turn.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Death.
It's very deathy.
Yeah. Then I will attack you for 4,
And I can't
and I
do anything
flight.
about it.
Can't
Yeah.
block me. Yeah.
All right. So 1, and that's 3, 5, 4, 3, 2. Math's not my strong suit.
Drake saying if the portal closes, is it the Horn of
I
Gondor?
already posted that
Gosh.
up there. It's so good.
All right, you took your damage.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will pass it over to you.
Okay. That's all you want to do?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You have too many tokens.
I got just enough tokens.
You know what I mean?
I'm about to have some more tokens. All right. Draw. No, first I ready everything. We already talked about this. I'm going to draw.
This card is so hot. I love this deck.
Okay. So I got to play one of these things. Golly. Okay. Okay. This is probably what I'm going to do.
Resource time. It's funny, like the decision on what card to put down as a resource is actually very relevant.
Yeah.
And like It's just a little choice you have to make every turn.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me make sure. Yep. I think I'm going to do this. My favorable outcome is going to go down. Oh, these are upside down, actually, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you don't get them mixed up, I don't really care.
Well, there's something to get mixed up. Okay, so I'm at 5. I'm at 5, Zach.
Yeah. The game is afoot.
Game is afoot. 5.
Currently 22-24, my favorite. But you got dudes. Dudes in different area codes.
I got dudes in different area codes. I'm going to... This is one of my problems, is that I don't know when to save my removal for, but I'm going to Solar Smash. Deal 3 damage to target contender or clash card. 3. But it holds because it's not clash damage.
So we'll just put that there.
Then I play favorable outcome for 1.
Oh, I see. No, this is good. These are good things.
All right. And then our friends in the chat will know that favorable outcome, deal 2 damage to target clash card. If that clash card is defeated by this effect, create 1 red war minion token. Card can attack this turn. All right, so I'm out of tokens, so we're going to start using dice.
All right, death card leaving. I'm going to engage and draw a card.
Okay. All right, so those are done. This one dice can't attack this turn, but the rest of them can. So, but if I attack you, you're just going to kill them one by one.
That is right.
Right, that's problematic, isn't it?
Well, that's up to you. What you want is one of those cards that gives you +1 life on all those guys or defense.
Yeah, that would be really good, wouldn't it?
It'd be a shame.
I'm going to pay my last 2 for War Battle Tactician. And that says trigger enter. If the portal is open, create 1/1/1 red token. I keep doing this. You're going to have to help me on that. I think that's actually the 3.
What are you doing?
Heal. Hold on. I am trying to use dice for these tokens, and I keep grabbing this pile of dice in front of me, not remembering that it's my life. Okay, so it says
easy to do.
If the portal is open, create 1/1/1 red war minion clash token. That token cannot be obstructed or be the target of a clash buff this turn. At the end of your turn, send that token to oblivion. So I'm going to attack your thing for 1.
And this is untapped, right?
Yes, it is.
So you're gonna attack me for 1.
Mm-hmm.
I take 1, you go away.
You take 1. Yep. And the one that it was going to go away at the end anyway, because I'm a battle tactician. All right, and
you have 1 token that can't attack.
I have 1 token that can't attack. Also, this one right here. So that guy you sent to the oblivion was really the jam here. So I wish he was still on the board.
Yeah. Turns out your big scary thing. I have to answer, or
I'm going to attack your contender for 2, and that'll draw me a card.
Yep. I'll take 2. You'll stay on the board. Cool.
And then I could attack, and we could just trade 1, but there's really nothing that doesn't help me at all.
I think your tokens are worth more than that. Personally, like you draw another one of those guys that can use all those tokens to
definitely
beef you up.
And like I could attack with this, but we just do 1 and.
I mean, there are contenders that would want that because they're pressuring tempo basically.
I mean, the tokens getting +1 in breakthrough is good.
Yeah, but then you're also close to death.
Yeah, so we don't want to rush there.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm sure there's times where that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Well, that feels right to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels good. I'm into it.
Good.
I'm not questioning your decisions as your enemy and opponent. Okay, let me read my cards. Well, that's not very helpful right now. So let's put it down here.
Oh, another bone armor?
No,
that's another death.
No. It's just more death.
I like a little stacky. That's probably better.
6. Okay. What do I do with 6?
Nothing. Lose. Forfeit.
That ain't it. All right, let's do this. Death the Inbringer for 6. Look at this card. Just look at her. Look at this foiling, John.
I'm sure that's no problem.
Just look at that.
Woo, 4/5.
Just like the blue and then the red there.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay. Exclusive. I can only have 1 in play.
Okay.
At the start of your turn, if the portal is open, so you can play at this game, you may put a clash card with initial resource cost of 3 or less.
At the end of it, I get 1 from the horn.
Yeah. So at the start of my turn, if the portal's open, I can put a clash card that costs 3 or less from my oblivion into my clash zone. If it's a Harbinger, it gets +2/+2 and necrotic until the end of turn. At the start of each opponent's turn, that opponent must send one clash card they control to Oblivion.
That's gross.
So I'll just put that there.
That is gross.
And then I will attack. Oh, wait. See, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can attack you here.
Right.
You have 6 war tokens, though.
Yes, I do.
So you can block with all 6. Or you can block with 5.
I can block with 5 and kill you?
5 would kill me, but all 5 of yours would also take 4 damage.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Which is not a problem for me, really.
Well, and like, I don't want that to happen because my in-play effect is so good.
Yeah.
So you can't get to me unless you have something fancy. So I'm just going to pass.
Okay, I see.
Because it says...
Because at the beginning of your turn, if the portal is open.
Well, at the start of your turn, you have to destroy a clash card you control. While this is in play. Just period. That's the second one.
At the start of each opponent's turn, one clash card they control to Oblivion.
And that counts these tokens, yeah. So you're decent on that. But then if it's in play at the start of my turn, I get to play a 3-cost left from here for free.
That's gross.
Then the party begins.
So I can't do anything to it because it's standing up.
Jordy, Death Inbringer. How can you not love that card and he's doing this?
Okay, welly well. What are we going to do here with this?
Imagine if we didn't have all those tokens, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like how devastating that card would be.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way to make it? I mean, it's not bad. Not a bad decision.
I remember, you cannot attack that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
Spoiler, I'm not going to block with it either.
Okay.
It's worth too much. Because like at the start of my turn, I get a free thing every turn.
Oh, so I got to do a resource, first of all.
You don't have to.
No, I want to. I do.
I'm sure there'll be... So back when we played Spoils, there was this player named Will Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Very good at the game.
Mm-hmm.
No, was it Will Morgan?
I don't know.
There's someone who would literally... You played Spoils, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
Who would often play the whole game with 3 or 4 resources.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you on that. Okay. I believe that I am going to be playing this down as my 6th resource. Tactician guy. I've got 6. Okay. 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 Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All your stuff is too beefy, man. Okay.
We have the beef. Yeah, you just have all these little weenie tokens.
Yeah.
You just slide your contender off the page. Here, like, do you mind if I do this? I'm gonna do.
Okay. Fine.
You have 5 of these tokens.
Okay, so 5 total.
And they're all ready. So if you need,
Okay.
put an exhausted one in and put a token on it once you start sending them
All right.
in.
I trust you that you'll be able to help me do that accounting.
Yeah.
All right. First thing I'm going to do is 2
Seen that guy before.
for another tactician.
And if you aren't already aware, you can have multiple of the same card in play unless they have the exclusive keyword.
Yeah. Battle tactician there. He's going to create a minion token. But this minion token is kind of different. So we're just going to.
Yep, that's perfectly fine.
All right. Great. We did that. I've got 2 guys that are up. You're not going to block.
Why would I do that?
You're not going to block.
You got a clash buff. I can see it. I can see it from a mile away.
You're not going to
It's
block.
+3 and overkill.
You're not going to block.
I know what red cards there are.
You're not going to do it.
Or maybe I am going to block. Maybe I'm in your head. What if I have a clash buff? Ooh, didn't think about that, did we?
So this is the thing with this game, right? So I can go all in. I can go like crazy. But then I got nothing when it comes to your turn.
That's right. And I'm going to have 7 resources.
Yeah, and you're going to put a big
Who knows what I put down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What's my second ability? Wow. So my second ability, just so you're aware, at the start of my turn, I can put a 2-coster from Oblivion into play each turn.
Well, goodness gracious, that's not it.
It should be Death Chaosbringer.
Yeah.
So I basically get a free 2-cost that leaves play at the end of my turn.
Okay, because it's got necrotic.
Would trigger my thing.
Okay. So that's interesting.
And you spent 2 this turn?
I spent 2 this turn.
Spent 2. Yeah, like I should probably note that, huh?
Some people like to track that sort of thing.
This is tricky, man. This is really tricky. Okay.
It looks simpler than it is, doesn't it?
Yep. All right. So attacker contender for 2.
I'll take 2.
And then
I need one of those cards that does 1 damage to everything on the board,
attacker contender for 2.
Take 2. Still good.
You don't want to block?
No, I don't.
Still not.
Too risky.
All right, I'll pay 4 for the Strikebringer. If the portal is active, then create 2 1/1 tokens.
Oh no.
5. We'll put 2 over here because they're going to be different too.
Because I can't.
Yeah, because these are all going to tap for him.
What does his text say?
What's that one called?
War Strikebringer. Yeah, I mean the 2 new tokens are the exact same as these.
Yeah, but I'm going to keep them up for blocking.
Okay.
Blocking purposes.
Yeah. And if you want, you can do like this kind of a thing, where it's like these 2.
Okay. Yeah,
And
fair
then
enough.
there's this one.
There's that one that's going to come back.
And this one can't. It can't attack this turn or something.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do 5, 6.
Daylag. War only believes in full set. Ship it.
6, 7, 8, 9 at your contender with breakthrough.
And you have 9 health as well.
No, I don't. It's only +1 attack.
So 3 health.
3 health.
Yeah, but if you have a clash buff, I get gemoked.
I don't have any resources open.
This is coming for how many? 9?
9.
What does this do?
Oh, draw a card for second attack. Thank you. Daylag is on Team War over here.
9 overkill is a big number, dog.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll block.
Okay.
I'll do 4. Do you have a clash buff or anything?
No.
Okay. I'll do 4 to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll do 5 and 4 will carry over.
Okay. And then this guy gets the boot.
Yeah. And then when this dies, I'm going to tap here to draw.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Hey, that felt good.
He's beating me up. Okay. Mine? Mine?
Can't be blocked or buffed, and it can attack.
Right. I just tapped him for the Strikebringers, but then he goes away at the end of my turn. But the portal is open, so I get another standing one.
Another token. You're destroying me. But that's
we'll
okay.
We'll see. I mean, you're at 7. 7's when the big stuff happens, you know?
Okay. Let's play.
Bat Kroger. Why do they call him Kroger, Drake? What am I missing here? Is Kroger a person I don't know about?
Okay. I'm going to play Death, Stalking Spectre, and we'll destroy one of these guys when she comes into play.
Gross.
And that costs 5 with 2 blacks. 2, 4, 5.
Oh, they're off the screen? Hold on. I'm winning.
No, I don't remember that.
Look at that. 10, 15, 23
To 13.
to 13.
John's winning by a lot. Then I'm going to play Death the Relentless, -1 cost because I got 1 over here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to pay 2 for that.
Mm-hmm. Why does your stuff have so much health?
Well, because I don't have a million of them.
Couldn't you do something that has the health my cards can kill? Just right out of my hand.
Drake says it's a discount minion that dies at the end of the turn, so it's a bargain token. Hence Krogan.
I get it.
Did you have a token that should have gone away?
No, he did. Okay. I took care of that. I did do that. This guy's one goes away. Also can't be buffed.
Oh, and this gets +1 to the end of the round.
Boo.
From sending something. But you have all those tokens. I'll pass. Just waiting for you to kill me.
Wow. Already demoralized, huh? Mm-hmm. Me and my turn on the draw a card.
I'm just on my back foot. I need a big beefy hitter.
Well, Zach, I've got one.
No.
Did you say big beefy hitter?
Oh man, he has the beef.
I've got the beef. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love the way you look. It's War.
Oh no.
The Intensifier.
I wonder what he's gonna do.
He's gonna intensify.
He intensifies.
All right. Clash cards I control get +1/+1.
No.
After I attack, I get a red war minion token.
No. 7.
Okay.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Let's see. Is there any clever way for me to do this?
Dang.
I don't think so.
And you're at 4 attack? That's so bad for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Attack for 2.
1 at a time? Oh, 2. Oh, no. He's +1/+1?
That's my understanding.
I really have got to go to the bathroom.
It's going to be a long row.
I'll take 2. Oh, hold on. You have 8 tokens?
Yeah, I got 8 tokens. That's 16 damage.
Oh, man. All right, you win. I can't stop it. That's so good. This is exactly what you want to do, too. I'm happy for you. Oh, I love letting my friends win games.
Oh, man. So I got to say, as a guy who likes tokens, this is exactly what I want to see.
Yeah, this is exactly the deck for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love how aggressive the deck is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems really good. I just felt like I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, I was taking your stuff off pretty quick.
Well, it's like
scared.
all your tokens made my biggest, scariest thing not that scary.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I think 2 bone numbers is not what you want.
Right. Yeah.
I never use this, which is a problem.
because when you realize you have to discard the thing.
Yeah.
When your board cube's getting so small.
Yeah, like you never gave me a chance to actually. I can see what my deck is trying to do, and I felt like your deck was absolutely doing what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I just never quite got there.
Yeah. It's actually really interesting for me coming from playing so much sorcery recently, because like there's 4 copies of everything.
Yeah.
So I thought I was just like badly shuffling, but it's just like I don't have that many cards in my deck.
Yeah. Yeah, and you want to see. It's the consistent random in a Matty P argument, right?
That's right.
So a lot of times when you get into constructed games, like you want to see
the cards.
You'll have 4 and 5 costs that do similar things.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case too, it's a lot of times the same character, just different art.
Yeah.
But they're all serving functionally the same role. That way, you'll always see a 4 cost.
Yeah.
That fills a role, and it kind of, depending on which 4 and 5 and 6 costs you see or whatever, changes the pathway of the game. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had both of my 7 costs in my hand at the very beginning. I dropped one as a resource. But like, because it's 50 card decks?
Yeah.
So that's 11 cards, 12 cards that you're seeing if you're doing 4 of each card?
So if you did 4 of each card, it would be 12.
12, okay.
12 plus
12.
2.
Yeah.
So you only have 12 different, if you're at 4, and you're not, but it's most 4s and 3s.
Right.
So you only have 12 different cards. Plus, if you see 8 and you send 4 back, you've seen 12 cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of your deck.
Yeah.
And then if you draw a card every turn, and if you draw 2 cards every turn, and let's say it's an 8-turn game, then you're going to see 25, 30 of your cards.
Pretty much everything.
And so if you have 4 of everything, you should see 1 to 3 of every card.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely different headspace for that.
Yeah, I think the Harbinger specifically, have draw abilities. So like the first, do we have the original Magnate? Can you pull me
sure.
Magnate? I forget his. I think it's just Magnate, but
No, nothing's just Magnate. I can show you the new one.
Menacing? No. Magnate.
I think it's
Convoker.
No. It's this one we love. Menacing Magnate. Let's see.
What's Magnate's subtitle? Does the world know?
I should have it.
I can probably tell from looking.
It's
the first one. It's the first one.
Magnate Awakened.
So his ability is all your cards get +1 defense. All your
That's
alpha
great.
cards, which is great, but also he doesn't have card draw. So if you can actually trigger this war ability every turn, you're seeing like way more cards than the Magnate deck was seeing.
That's a big deal in a card game.
Yeah.
Big deal in a card
Well, there you
game.
go. You alpha clash.
I did it. Well, that was great. Thanks for playing. Thanks for letting me win.
As a spoils man of years past, how do you feel about it?
I thought it was great. I mean, look, winning.
You also dunked on
winning
me
is always
publicly
good. Winning is
on the
always
record.
great.
I can't ever wash this one away. You know, it's not just like we played at the kitchen table. It's like, oh yeah, John, no one
needs
believes
to
you.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, it's because Ridge gave me the better deck.
yeah.
He didn't. He purposefully.
He knew.
hamstrung
He knew
it.
I was playing death. I do want to show off one card really quick before we get out of here. So check this out. This is Clarity, Harbinger of Death. Oh, that's it. Look at that. This
Beautiful.
Is the black-white split.
Oh wow!
Also, look how. Do you see how cool that
texture?
foiling is?
Oh, yeah.
The texture on there. I didn't know they were doing that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
That's part of the appeal. Look at this.
They all have
this
different
card.
ones
Look
too.
at this texture.
Yeah.
So the kind of lower, they basically do things at the different foiling at different rarity. I want to show you.
That's
this
cool.
is cool. Let me show you real quick. So here's a good example. So this is a rare foil.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just the foiling.
Okay.
But then the text is gold.
Mm-hmm.
Epic, the text, the stats are gold.
And
the epics get a texture.
Okay.
So you can see this is also an epic where the stats are gold and the logo is gold.
Okay.
But then like as you go down, like the commons they just have the foiling. There's no text that's gold. So you can actually start telling. And this is technically a legendary, which is the highest level of rarity,
highest they
basically.
go. It's got everything gold.
And so it's like, look at that. The texture on that is
it's amazing.
It's really hard to see.
It's
Anyways,
impossible to see in the world. It's very cool.
Unrivaled. You can only have one unrivaled card in your deck, period.
Okay.
And then 6 cost, but it's got the resource split. So when you play this down as a resource, it's cool. When you activate it, you choose, is it a black or a white resource this turn? But you would never do that because this card is awesome. So you're going to want to play it. But it's I'm not a Magic guy, but I've heard it compared to dual lands, which I hear all the time about in Magic. Yeah. So I'm curious how far they go. Like this is currently, I think this is the only card that is this way right now. I could be wrong.
Oh yeah. No, I think I saw that when I was going through the cards to do that.
So I'm curious how far they push that. Because you can imagine eventually if you're like, this deck is white and black, if you had 15 cards in here that were white or black, that would be really good from your resource threshold. Like I had a white card that was just 3 costs, destroy something, but it was 2 white threshold, and I only had that card in my hand, so I literally couldn't do anything with it. I eventually put it down as a resource, but I think it's just cool. You start seeing, so like the first set, we didn't have the portal.
Yeah.
And they layer that in. We also didn't have split cards like this. The contenders didn't have draw abilities. So I was saying this on last week's stream. I think access to a draw ability like that means you're way more consistently seeing the cards in your deck.
Yeah.
Which, if you want consistency and lower variance and competitive play and all that kind of stuff, I think that's important. Plus, just seeing, if you design a deck and you never see the cards you design them around, it's like
Yeah. I want to see that.
That
was great. No, that was really good. It's very good to play. It plays like what I thought it was going to be like, which is, it's like it's a big swing game. It feels like, like it's not super defensive or it's super defensive until there's a crack in the armor and then you send all your stuff through potentially. But like it just feels like it gets big. I think that's how they're designing it. So like it feels like it's got these epic sort of
And of course, you were
superhero punches.
You were definitely playing the
big swing
aggressor there, and then you had I was like, you need something that gives your stuff +1/+1, and then later you're like, doink.
How about this?
Which makes sense. Like, and you played it brilliantly because you could have just sent for damage on the tokens and I killed them. But I think knowing that card was in your hand, it's like I want to wait
hold them back
until this is just free money.
Yeah.
And it was way too much for me to handle, which is great.
That was a lot.
Anyways, if you want to check out alphaclash, we have a bundle on the website, Clash Bundle. Great way to give it a try. We have boxes from set 1 and 2 in stock, starters from set 1 and 2 in stock, and of course the subscription.
It's good.
To
It's
get
fun.
future sets.
I think like it's there. I'm not a words guy, but like it just feels like clear, clean, not streamlined necessarily, but just like
Yeah, I mean, there's bricks of text on these cards sometimes. But
but it just feels. I don't know. I think you guys pointed this out in one of our videos, but like being able to play a card and attack with it,
yeah, and I think the threat of that changes your patterns.
changes everything.
Now you have all those little dumb tokens. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. But yeah, I think it reminds me a little bit of how I felt about Soulforge, and part of the appeal for me, which is the number of decisions you typically are making are less, but the importance of each decision feels higher.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Fab, it's a series of multiple decisions every turn, trading back and forth. Where even like here, like the card you choose to put down as a resource, big decision.
Big decision.
A lot of times you're only playing like 1 or 2 cards a turn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not these big, crazy sequences.
Yeah.
And it could be. Like I'm sure a deck could be built like that. As much as it's like the series of important choices that get you a result, which is interesting. I also think just the fact that you were able to sit down, I could teach you, even though you did the tutorial. But like from a mechanical standpoint, there's a lot less going on in this game and to manage.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see on the complexity curve how far they push it over time, because they will inherently.
Yeah.
Even like the portal being added. If this was set 1, this isn't even a
Right, which is cool. I think that was great that they did that.
Yeah,
I like the bet they made.
Ultimately, the portal is like not that. It's not. It's like
It's open.
it's either open or closed, and then cards say if it's open this, if not. So I think it's really approachable in that way, and it's an indie superhero theme, which is part of the goal. So
the art's great.
Which is cool.
We love it. That's fantastic. Yeah, even like sorcery, like you're looking across your entire board, you're looking across their entire board. Because I haven't played a lot of that lately, and it's crunchy in a good way. That's what they're going for. But this is just like I don't know. This is like flashy.
Yeah,
maybe that's the best word for it. I don't know. It's good. It's good.
Well,
I like it.
It honestly feels like, this almost feels like reading a comic book, which is good to say.
Yeah.
In that, when I read a comic book, I don't feel taxed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I read a novel, sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like I can only do that for so long.
Absolutely.
And one of the things we were saying earlier about this is the first time we played for like 3 or 4 hours and got done. And it was like, if I play 3 or 4 hours of a lot of games, by the end, I'm drained. And I wasn't of this. But I still had a good time and I felt like I made a lot of important decisions. Yeah, speaking of drained. But like sometimes the decisions being important comes at the cost of mental tax.
Yes.
And this game avoids that somehow, which is one of it's really impressive. You don't see that with every design.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's funny you mentioned that about comics. I've found that reading at the end of the day novels is taxing, but I started reading comic books instead.
Yep,
it's so nice.
It's a different space, right?
Perfect. Yeah, it is. It's like that. It's not too much. There's a lot visually that's just like appealing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. All right, thank you guys for being here. We'll be back next week with our holiday themed theme stream.
Theme stream, yeah.
And,
tune in. And then we all going to take some time off. So happy holidays. Enjoy the time with your loved ones, etc. One more thing. Since this is my last time on stream for a while, I had a revelation the other day.
In the background of one.
Yeah, it's true. I'll be yelling over the baffles there. But like, you know that old parable of the ant and the grasshopper, the ants and the grasshopper. The ants spend all summer long preparing for the winter time. The grasshopper just like plays the fiddle and then he dies in the winter. I don't know, something like that. I haven't heard it since I was 6. But like, the interesting part to me about that story, which has always been on my mind, is that it's not that the ants were necessarily being lazy or unlazy, or the grasshopper was being lazy or unlazy. The grasshopper was just doing it at the wrong time. The ants are playing the fiddle all winter because they prepared, right? And I think that, especially with this big vacation coming up, which is the first time I've been able to take it for a while, like having understanding spring, summer, fall is like the time when you like put the work in and go crazy, and then winter time is like you get to sit back a little bit, spend time with your family or loved ones, play games, do that kind of a thing, and trying to really organize my life in that way. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
So
well, breaks are good. Breaks are good. Biz got it. Last question we'll answer. Which is better, alphaclash or Flesh and Blood? So I think Flesh and Blood is the best competitive card game I've ever played. Period. I think they own that position. Every piece of their DNA is designed to be exactly that. But Flesh and Blood is a nuanced, dense, oftentimes intense, cerebral experience. That is not a game for a lot of people. So one thing I love about alphaclash, and it's part of the appeal and part of why we like dug what Ridge and their team envisioned for the future, is it is a great game that I think could be very appealing for a much wider audience. Like, I think Fab is super successful. And even their entire approach, they come from, like, they're going to conventions at, like, comic book conventions and stuff. So this is a game I can see a ton of people in my life actually playing with or teaching them how to play this or being interested in. Whereas Fab is, like, in my brain, a gamer's game. Like, it is not, even with the, we were talking about that when Bright Lights came out, and they had you can just open packs and play. It's like, this is a lot. This is a lot, and you get used to it. So it depends on what you're after. I think this game is lighter, but at the same time, as I said earlier, it has a lot of important choices. I have a really good time playing it, but I also don't ever feel exhausted when I'm done. Fab, I love that exhaustion. That's the burn. Yeah, that's the burn. Like I'm into it. But there's a lot of people that's not what they're into. So it's very different flavors, very different IPs, very different vibes, and a lot to love about both. But they're just very much, it's sort of like sorcery is another angle of like being totally different. And I love them all in different ways. So I don't think there's that best, but I will say Fab is just a notable game in my life.
It's amazing how many different ways you can split the pie, and like it's still not, anyone's not really crowding on each other. You know what I mean?
Well, fortunately now the industry and the player base for card games is big enough that that's possible. In the 90s, it was just like crowded, and like a lot of games died because there were just too many games coming out all the time. And there's a lot of games coming out right now. So it sort of just depends. But I think by design, alphaclash is intending to be less intense than Fab, but also a game where you can reduce the variance and compete and play it. So it's somewhere in that spectrum, right? But it definitely leans more Fab than it does sorcery. So take that for what you will. Garrett, good to see you. And hit that Discord up. It's a lot of great people over there, and we'd love to have you.
All right, is that the end? Did we do it? Hey, see you guys later. Come back next week for Crokinole and Nightmare Before Christmas. Before Christmas.